Bulletins are not about ideas, they're about execution of ideas. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to each one of you to this prestigious summit, Intellectual Property Summit 2025 under AMA Management Fest. It's indeed a privilege to have the gathering of legal experts, industry leaders, creative professionals, and innovators among us to explore the landscape of intellectual property and the impact of business, law, and innovation. To begin this insightful evening and to evoke the wisdom of knowledge, let's illuminate our evening with traditional lamp lighting ceremony. With that, I would like to invite on stage Mohal sir, Jatin sir, Gopi ma'am, Sunil sir, Prashant sir, and Unmesh sir on the stage for the lighting of lamp ceremony. Please give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much. To now mark the official commencement of the IP Summit 2025, I invite Mr. Mohal Sarabhai, Honorary Secretary AMA and CEO Essence Pharma Private Limited to please come up on the stage to deliver the inaugural address. Before that, I request Gopi ma'am to kindly felicitate Mohal sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished guests, speakers, participants, warm welcome to the International Property Summit 2025. It is really an honor to have such an esteemed gathering of industry leaders, legal experts, entrepreneurs, and creative professionals who are shaping the future of intellectual property in India and beyond. The theme of the summit is IP for global competition and business growth. It underscores the growing importance of intellectual property in driving innovation, securing competitive advantage, and fostering economic growth. In today's knowledge and data-driven economy, effectively managing and protecting intellectual assets is essential for success on both national and global levels. We are privileged to have distinguished experts leading two insightful sessions. The first session is IP for global competition, where we will explore how businesses can use IP to strengthen their international presence and protect their innovation in different sectors. And then there's IP for business growth, which is understanding how IP supports entrepreneurship, branding, and sustainable market expansion. This summit is a key part of AMA's Management Fest 2025, a platform dedicated to knowledge exchange and leadership developments. So please, I encourage all participants here to ask questions and explore new ways to leverage IP as a strategic asset for growth and success. I am myself being the honorary secretary, but I'm also involved in the pharmaceutical sector. I'm involved with a lot of global health issues personally. And I would like to share something of how important IP is to what I am doing personally, or what we are doing in the healthcare. I think that some of the people here are also from the pharmaceutical world. So India is considered, or it is rather, the pharmacy of the world. 1 in 3 pills that anyone takes globally comes from an Indian manufacturer. By volume, we are the 3rd largest in the world, and this is going up. We are soon going to overtake China, and we would become perhaps below US, the largest manufacturer of drugs in the world. But how did this happen? And a lot of times people ask me, what is the pivotal point of pharmaceuticals in India? You have known that you go anywhere, you go to any pharmacy, and about 90% of the world's 90% of the products available are available to you at really a fraction of a cost compared to what's just about anywhere else in the world. So the watershed moment for the Indian pharma industry actually came in 1970, during the time of Indira Gandhi, when she said that no products can be patented in the country. The Patent Act 1970 was a smart one. It said a product cannot be patented, but only the process can be patented. And with that, it opened up a whole lot of Indian pharma people, Indian pharma entrepreneurs, who could reverse engineer a process and tweak it a little bit. So you can do one step here, but then you do another step here. It means you have a process patent that's different from any other patent. So as a result, 70s, 80s, maybe early 90s, the pharma industry in India completely bloomed. We were able to make, like I said, 95% of all drugs that are available to us. So it saved mankind, it literally saved human lives. We became like this global superpower of pharmaceuticals, all thanks to this one patent act. And that is why I say it, because it's so important what intellectual property is, and you realize that a whole birth of an industry came out of that. As a flip side, before 1970, almost all our drugs were imported from other countries, mostly the West, at an exorbitant price. India couldn't solve its own problems of helping people at that time. So then, I'm forwarding to 1995, India became a signatory, rightfully, to the TRIPS agreement. TRIPS was trade-related aspects of intellectual property. And the government said to all the pharma industry, you have 10 years to get your act together. You can no longer just follow process patents, which are a bit of an eyewash, but you have to have a product patent. You have to respect a product patent. And that was the time of the world, and you had to do it. So everyone agreed. There was a lot of backlash, but everyone eventually agreed. And 95, so 2005, 2006, come that time, no new drugs could be as such copied by Indian pharmaceutical companies. So in that sense, it was a win for intellectual property, of course. So I'm trying to see the two sides. So once it's products or patents versus patients. Now TB, if you look at TB, tuberculosis, India has the largest burden of TB in the world. We have something like 3 million cases every year. It affects mostly the lower, middle to lower income people because of the way people live. It's a huge global problem. We are working towards that. And if you look at a TB drug, there is not a single TB drug that came in the market for more than 40 years. Johnson & Johnson became the first company with a drug called bedaquiline, and that came into India. After 40 years, there was finally a treatment for drug-resistant TB that could save someone's life. But no Indian company could copy bedaquiline because it's a product, it's a patent. You can't do it. The patent was going to expire in 2023, and every Indian company, or many Indian companies, are waiting for 2023. When does this end so that now we can have our generic? We know how to make it. Once you know the chemical process, anybody can make it. The science of actually just doing that tablet making is not great science. The science is actually discovering the molecule. So once that structure is discovered, anybody could do it. Johnson & Johnson applied for a patent in India to extend it to 2027. And by, this is called evergreening of a product. They follow that I've changed this, or now this is better for pediatric use, or something they say to extend it. And as a landmark decision, the India Patent Office, actually, they lost the case. And now, they lost the case in December of 2024. And soon there are going to be generics of bedaquiline available in the Indian market, and at about 75% less compared to the cost of what was already available at a reduced price by Johnson & Johnson. So this is an IP-related, absolute human life type of example. But now look at the flip side. A new drug, if you discover the type of money that's required today, on an average is about $1 billion. It's about 8,600 crores. Today's morning's paper, Pankaj Bhai said that if India does it, it would be maybe half of that. It's in the papers today, Venigar. But half of that is also 4,000 plus crores. So obviously for a company, whether it's in India, whether it's in internationally, when they are spending that kind of money, and that kind of money is spent on capital expenditure, that kind of money is spent because you go through so many molecules to discover this. So a lot of money goes. Then the question is that if the intellectual property is not protected, then what is the incentive? Like, why would anybody do it? So there is a flip side on both sides, but there is a humane side. And that's why the patent laws in this country, especially India is a unique country, especially in India, become very important, and it becomes very important for our intellectual property regime to accept and understand this, which may not be applicable to countries in the West. So that was the first point of the Indian pharma industry. Another point where I have about IP, and IP I heard from Gopi Ben, that's been going on for last 15 years or 18 years here. But it's still a very growing concern, ma'am, because I just had a situation where we are also a contract manufacturer to other companies in pharma. And I got this packaging, which was a male vitality drug that somebody else was making. We make for many companies. And on the packaging, they had this 007 written, the Bond style 007. So I said to them that I don't think we can make it because I'm sure 007 has to be patented, right? I mean, you can't use the same way James Bond writes 007 on your packaging because it could be construed as, you know, as if you have some license from James Bond's this thing. Incidentally, James Bond just sold this morning to Amazon Prime, so I just saw that they sold their IP. But the point I'm making is that when I was talking to the manufacturers, a well-known, I'm not naming names, but a well-known company based out of Gujarat, they were not aware of this kind of complications. They were like, "Ema su thayu, you know, kon jovanu chhe? They are not going to come after us." So I was thinking that IP, perhaps even in a regulated industry like pharma, people need more training. So sessions like AMA, sessions of what we are doing are very good. In the same way, sometimes I get these postdoc students who come and tell me that they have done this amazing research on some natural ingredient. In this case, there was someone who did something with garlic. And this is going on right now, and that's why I'm giving you example. There's apparently a strain of garlic in Kerala that this student had studied for, after her postdoc for 10 years in her lab, that could control blood sugar levels if you are fortifying it in a certain way. And she needed some help from some pharmaceutical company that if they can just use some basic pilot plant studies. And when I was talking to her, she gave us the whole research paper. You know, she had done everything. And I was just thinking that, you know, that if I mean, this could be very valuable information that somebody could just steal on just a simple CDA, which is this confidential disclosure agreement you do, but without having that IP done rightly. And she had no idea of how to do it. There was no process, and this was from a good university. There was no idea. It was just on good faith. Of course, you know, we told her that you must attend these type of events and, you know, go up to a IP lawyer and get this process because there could be something there. So a lot of education is also required. This team that I'm glad to see everyone here, and these type of events can be the cure, because now with internet, everyone knows what everybody is doing. You can search a brand name, you can search whatever. So a multinational company, if you're using a 007, can come right after you. I'm told that someone on a fireworks was using Disney characters, and there was a lawsuit that they got for having no rights for doing that. So I can go on because this is close to me, but Gopi-ben, I leave this to you further. And wishing everyone a meaningful and enriching summit. And please ask questions. Thank you very much.
So Mohal bhai very rightly pointed out to this regime and different aspects of intellectual property rights and how they affect us in our daily life, right from the morning to night in our routine activities to professional activities or any specific activity for entertainment also. No action is barred from intellectual property interventions now. And from the Patent Act to Trademark 007, he rightly pointed out that, so it's all about knowingly or unknowingly, taking up such inspirations. So that's what we are going to talk in this summit. So welcome everyone to the Intellectual Property Summit. And we will start, we'll have 2 sessions. So we'll start with the first session, and our moderator of this session is Dr. Gunjan Chawla Arora. Dr. Gunjan Chawla Arora is an assistant professor of law at Institute of Law, Nirma University, Ahmedabad. With 9 years of experience in research and academia, she has developed expertise in the field of intellectual property rights. A PhD holder from Gujarat National Law University, Dr. Arora has contributed extensively to legal scholarship with her research featured in esteemed law journals and book chapters published by renowned publishers. To name a few, they are Sage and IGI Global. Beyond academia, she leads the Center for Intellectual Property Rights at the Institute of Law, driving discussions on emerging intersections of IP with sustainable fashion, generative AI, celebrity rights, digital media, and traditional cultural heritage. Her broader research interests span entertainment media, e-commerce, consumer rights, and technology, telecommunication, etc. She is passionate about evolving dynamics of intellectual property right in this digital age. Dr. Arora continues to shape the conversation at the crossroad of law, innovation, and societal impact. She'll moderate the session for IP for global competition with very able panelists today. And I welcome Dr. Gunjan Chawla Arora. On behalf of YJ Trivedi Center for IP Rights and AMA, I'd like to welcome.
Thank
you. Dr. Chawla Arora, the forum is all yours now.
Thank you so much, thank you so much, Ms. Gopi Trivedi. Thank you so much, YJ Trivedi and AMA. And on behalf of YJ Trivedi and AMA Academy, I welcome all of you to the IP Summit 2025. This year, as we've already introduced the theme, it is on IP for global competition and business growth. Now, I'm sure all of us who are sitting here, we are fairly aware of what IP is and why any enterprise is established. Commercialization is the most important aspect or a perspective with which any business enterprise is established. And IP happens to do this for any business organization. IP not only helps any enterprise or a company establish, a competitive edge over other relevant market competitors, but equally establish an identity for the brand itself, for consumers, and for all of those who are there in the market. And with this, today the major focus for panel 1 would be on analyzing what are those IP management strategies and commercialization strategies that any enterprise is supposed to ensure in order to ensure that there is a global identity or a global competition which every business entity can maintain. And for this today, we have with us 3 panel members. First, we have Mr. Japesh Jaidevan, who's CEO of Hoko Ice Creams. We have Ms. Vijay Lakshmi Malkani, AVP, Head of Trademarks for India Business, Emerging Markets and Japan at Sun Pharma, and Mr. Mukund Thakkar, Senior Vice President at Zydus Life Sciences Limited, Ahmedabad. I'd request all our panelists to please come and take your places at the dais. Thank you so much. So I'll just take a moment to first introduce our speakers for today. So we have first Mr. Japesh Jayadevan. He's CEO of Hoko Ice Creams, and he joined Havemore as VP of Strategy in 2017, just before its acquisition by Lotte, and has been working with the Chona family ever since. And he's an alumni from IIM Lucknow, and he began his career at Accenture Strategy, working on projects in sales transformation, supply chain transformation, and business strategy. Thank you so much, Mr. Japesh, for being here with us. On behalf of YG Trivedi and AMA, I'd like to welcome you. We next have Ms. Vijay Lakshmi Malkani. She's AVP, Head of Trademarks for India Business, Emerging Markets in Japan at Sun Pharma. And she has over 2 decades of experience now in the field of managing extensive trademark and copyright portfolios for prominent consumer brands. Her responsibilities have included leading brand protection initiatives, strategic litigation, overseeing IP management, and providing counsel on licensing. She's been associated with UPL, Marico, BIC, and Hindustan Unilever Limited in the past. And she's been recognized under the top 25 WTR Global Leaders 2024 and named as one of the most influential and powerful women in IP by the World Intellectual Property Forum. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here. Our third panelist for today is Mr. Mukund Thakkar, Senior Vice President at Zydus Life Sciences Limited, Ahmedabad. He's a qualified company secretariat with more than 32 years of experience in corporate legal environment and has worked with reputed organizations including Interglobal Enterprises, Bharti Airtel, and law firms like Mullah and Dua Associates. Over the years, he's acquired experience in strategic planning and investment, intellectual property, corporate governance, and investments, and among others. And he's won several awards in the legal field as an in-house counsel. The latest being enlisted as one of the top 50 general counsels by Forbes India in the Legal Power List 2022. We welcome you, sir. Thank you. All right, so I think without further delay, let's just hear it from the experts. I think we can just sit here. Yeah, okay.
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening. So when I was listening to Mohal Bhai about 007, and I thought I'll share an incident with you. My first organization that I worked with was called DuPont Sportswear Limited. Now, don't go by the name. It was a jeans manufacturing company, and they used to make Wrangler jeans in India. This I'm talking about 94 when I joined. This company was incorporated 4 or 5 years ago. And when I joined as the company secretary come legal head there was a case going on from DuPont against this company for the use of the name DuPont. This was a small 8 crore, 10 crore turnover company which was making jeans in India. And I asked the chairman, he was Mr. Jalan Marwadi. I said, sir, ये नाम कैसे रख दिया आपने DuPont? So बोले, I had hired a chartered accountant who asked me, Jalan साहब नई कंपनी खोलनी है, क्या नाम लिखना है? So at that time I had pen in my hand which had DuPont written on it. So I said, write DuPont Sportswear Limited. So when it comes to IP, people were so known thinking. And one more very interesting case I'll tell you. Before I joined Zydus, I was with Interglobe Enterprises, which is the parent company of Indigo Airlines. And when I joined Indigo Airlines, there was a case going on against Indigo by Tatas who had a small car called Tata Indigo. And they had filed a case. Obviously, they lost it. But you know, the IPs, how these kind of people, the litigation and the protection of IP is so important that even the smallest of a company, which was 1,000th or 1 millionth of a turnover of DuPont, was chasing to protect its own brand name way back in 1990, I'm talking about. Over to you, Guru. Sorry.
I think, working, am I audible? Yeah. So I think that's a very good start for all our audiences to just have a brief understanding of why IP is important and what are we going to be discussing today. So without wasting any time, my very first question is for Ms. Malkani. What has been the global trend according to you when it comes to using IP, and most importantly deciding which form of IP has to be acquired depending on the kind of the company or the enterprise that you're dealing into, because at times we see that there are a lot of debates that go on to especially in the pharmaceutical sector, because you come from Sun Pharma, so with regard to patents and trade secrets. So would you like to give your understanding on this, please?
So, what form of IP to acquire and protect is again a business decision, because it is always better to have a comprehensive and a well-rounded portfolio of IP, because you can't, while innovation is very, very important, and that is the cornerstone of growth, definitely, and that is why we know that patent is highly regarded, but then like I tell people, like, okay, you have an innovation, usko bechoge kaise? You need a brand name, right? So, and brand name is what creates that identity for that innovation, right? So therefore, and then you may also have in your portfolio, like today it's like the era of digitalization. You have a lot of digital assets, digital content. You have something, even your brand identity online, on social media, your user interface, anything you name it is a IP protectable asset. So it's totally up to you, and of course you may have a lot of trade secrets, like sir rightly said a while ago. So it is very important to understand what are the kind of IP that you have, what is the kind of IP that you actually leverage and give importance. You ideally should have everything in your portfolio, but what is it that you are deciding to give leverage? And because everything goes hand in hand, you can't like sort of separate it. Like if you're selling a product, there is a innovation that goes behind it, there is a brand identity that is created for it, there are certain set of algorithms or software where copyright will be involved, there is a certain appealable aspect to that product which can be covered under design. And of course the most important aspect, like sir alluded a while ago, is all the information that you share, that you have worked on to create that IP. It could be as simple as your customer list or your SOPs or your manufacturing processes, your your formulations, but those are very sacred and important information that you need to safeguard. When you're sharing, you need to be sure, there are certain modes in which you obviously have to share with someone to, sort of, further take it forward and commercialize it. But then how do you share it? What are the safeguards that you employ? What are the guardrails that you have to look at before you're sharing your IP? So all of those things become important. But again, like I said, which is the IP that you plan to leverage is again purely a business or commercial decision. Say for example, today you have an innovation, you may decide not to patent it. You may want to just hold on to it as a trade secret like Coca-Cola does. Or we have a lot of other examples also where companies have held on to very precious formulas and other information just as trade secret. It's a very sort of a vulnerable kind of an asset, but you can still, if you employ the right guardrails, you can still hold on to it as trade secret and also commercialize it, earn money out of it, as long as you know the right way to commercialize it and right way to do the data sharing. So you may then choose a patent over a trade secret or a trade secret over a patent, but then again you may choose to have a strong brand name or not have a brand name. But then, like I said, it's very important to choose the right brand name, one, to be sure that you're not infringing someone, because what's the point of launching a new product and then getting embroiled in a litigation where you're getting challenged? Then you're not able to leverage that asset that you have created, right? Your product may be popular, but then your brand is challenged. So what can you sell? So, if you get injuncted. So, it's a series of, permutation, combination that you have to decide how to, leverage your various IP in a certain combination and gain that market share or market advantage, because if you choose the right set of IPs, it helps you gain not only market retention, but also gain market expansion, market differentiation as well. So those are the aspects I think a business needs to consider when they are thinking, what type of IP to have in their portfolio, what type of IP to leverage and, protect in a better way or a comprehensive manner.
Thank you, ma'am. I think you've rightly pointed out that leveraging, the intention with which you need to choose the IP is to first understand what part of your business is something that you, want to leverage incentives from or commercialize. I think this, makes me ask my second question to Mr. Thakkar now. What is it, according to you, what is your perspective on the importance of IP in the strategic planning of a company's portfolio?
So, I would just second on a couple of points what she said. Value creation, it's very, very important. If you have a strong IP assets, you create a value which is different than the others in terms of that you can really market that IP by licensing, and you can create value for your enterprise. Like you need not have physical assets, but if your intellectual property assets itself could be such that you've created that value, like 5 years back we acquired few brands from Heinz. The price that we paid was almost 4,500 crores. The physical assets of that company were only 150 crores. Can you see the differentiation of the brand? The brands like Nycil, Complan, Glucon-D were brand which everybody knows. I mean, in this room, I don't think anybody who would not have heard of these three brands. So that is one, is the value creation. Second is your IP also does the market differentiation, what she said. Now it's very, very important. Like, for example, very recently, I myself was surprised when I was setting up my parents' home in new home in Bombay, and my dad said, I want a fan which has a remote control. Now that's a market differentiation. There were so many fans available, very fancy and all of that, but there were fans with remote control, and they said, we are old people now, who will get up all the way and go to the to switch on or switch off? Just give us a remote control, and that's market differentiation. Now that's something which is a technology driven IP. Then innovation and growth. I mean, obviously, how do you grow your organization? And one of the main thing is IP helps you because of the innovation behind it. research and development if you do, it's a money well spent on R&D, like, pharma companies especially. We spend hundreds of crores on IP and on innovation and all of that. So that's very, very important. Now, if you have a strong IP portfolio, it also helps as a defensive strategy, because then you can protect your IP when somebody else wants to come in. And I'll give you some very examples even in trademark, and she would second whatever. Registration is one part of a trademark as an IP, but use itself gives you certain rights that we have won cases against registered trademarks because we were prior user of that trademark. So that's a very good defensive strategy if you have a proper market presence of your particular this thing. Then obviously negotiations, collaborations, when you are negotiating a deal, if you have a strong IP assets, the value of that IP assets is determined very, very differently than a building. You will value a building on the gentry assets and all the land from a gentry value which is government decided. But my IP, I can value very, very differently. So that is something which is very, very important, that it helps you in negotiating, collaborating with you have a strong IP, and which you find collaborators who want to collaborate with you because you have that IP. It opens another door of kind of avenue. And obviously brand building, everybody knows how important it is. IP plays a very, very important role. So basically, when you strategic planning, you said for a company's growth, IP plays an absolutely important part, as much as marketing of those brands.
Thank you, sir. So one important and relevant point that he's highlighted is the usability of your product and the kind of the technology that you're using. So the more usable, the more reachable your product is to the consumer, the better leverage or the incentives your IP is going to give you. So on similar lines, Mr. Jayadevan, I have the question for you. When we're determining the company's portfolio with the intention of commercialization, so how do you determine the management strategies, or what is it that is required for the rebranding, or to continue to ensure your market visibility? What is it? I think with HOCO, I think this is something which is a very, very relevant and a very recent discussion. So please, sir, your views.
Thank you so much, Dr. Arora, for the question. So, couple of contexts that I'd like to give to the audience before I delve into the question. So we were working with Have More Ice Cream in 2017, and we sold the brand for 1,000 crores. This is public information, right? As Mr. Tucker said, one of the primary reasons why we got that kind of valuation, and Mr. Rajesh Shah is also here, who used to work with Have More before. One of the primary reasons we got that valuation was the kind of trademarks that we had in our portfolio, right? That is what Lotte paid that money for. It was for the business and for the brand that we had created, that Have More had created over the last 80 years. So I see a lot of young people in the audience today, and entrepreneurship is a pretty key factor for, we see a lot of startups that are emerging out of the market today. So when any investor comes into the portfolio, or when you go to any fundraise discussion, whether it is an angel or a VC or a private equity fund, one of the first things that they're going to ask you is how are you protected in terms of IP? What is that? Do you have a brand? Do you have a logo? Do you have a trademark? What is the innovation that you've done, and has that innovation been protected? Right. That is one. And a lot of people here today watch Shark Tank as well. One of the key differences between Shark Tank India and Shark Tank USA is, in Shark Tank USA, everybody comes and says, we have these patents pending, or we have these trademarks pending, right? But nobody kind of asks that question to Indian companies. I wish they did that more. So as startups or as young entrepreneurs, one of the primary things that you will need to focus on is IP. There's just no two ways about it. I am not a lawyer, I'm not a business person even, I'm just a professional, right? So it is always good to seek help primarily whenever you're making your product portfolio, right? So even if you're mid-management, junior management or senior management, it is always very, very important to take help at the right moment and involve lawyers during the brainstorming phase itself. So for example, if you're a startup or if you're a group of friends planning to start something new and you have some sort of an idea that is, in fruition, before you go to market, it's always good to seek professional help, even if it is, slightly costly, or even, I'm sure places like AMA provide you with that kind of resources. So IP is one of the key fundamental differences or differentiating factors when you go towards a fundraise. That is the key differentiating factor that worked in our favor when we sold Have More to Lotte. Again, when we rebranded, we had the rights to use the word Have More for the next 10 years, but we wanted to create a brand identity of our own, because that is another thing that IP helps you solve, or brand identity becomes extremely crucial. I'll just tell you, a lot of the people here seems like they've seen through the 90 to 2000s cricket era. I don't know if you all remember, but there was a time when we used to buy cricket bats from our local shop, peel off the sticker and draw MRF on the sticker, right? Assuming that, MRF cricket bats is the reason why Sachin played so well. For a long time, I didn't know that MRF was a, tire manufacturing company. I always thought it was a, bat manufacturing company. And I always thought, thankfully we had Britannia biscuits. Otherwise, we thought that Rahul Dravid's form was because he used the Britannia bat. When he changed the bat, suddenly, he lost his form, that kind of thing. So the reason I'm saying the MRF and the Britannia example is to say that, whenever you create a brand, right, ultimately you have that one instance or 1 second, that is the attention span that you have with your customers to, deliver that kind of value. All the things that go in the background can be in the background, but that logo or the trademark or the brand that you create ultimately is what differentiates you from the competition. I've seen people driving autos have Apple logo on the auto, right? Just to I don't know if they want to premiumize their offering or whatever, but I've seen regular people wearing shoes and draw a swoosh on that shoe, right? So you understand the kind of premiumness that a brand has conveyed over the last how many ever years, just by people wanting to copy that particular brand trademark or logo, right? The swoosh or the half-eaten apple, those are the kind of inspirations that we need to draw from, and know that brand creation or differentiation becomes a key focus for communicating your primary brand value, right? As Hoko, we also run a chain of restaurants by the name of Hoko Eateries, 1944 the Hoko Kitchen, and ice cream outlets by the name of Huber and Holly. One of the key factors in which how IP helps us is also us being able to expand internationally, us being able to give franchise rights or licensing rights to other players. So whenever you're discussing product portfolio or brand portfolio, IP becomes a very, very key factor for any kind of differentiation that is there in the market. Another important aspect of how IP is going to help the new India going forward. I still remember when I used to have a conversation with my earlier clients during consulting, any source of inspiration or innovation, they would always tend to look towards the West and say, okay, I'm trying to do this kind of product idea. Let me fly down to Dubai. Let me go to Europe. Let me go to America. See what those guys are doing, and then try and see if I can make the same thing at a lower cost in India, something like that, right? So there was a time when we used to look towards the West for innovation. I think now I can see that we are looking inwards from an innovation standpoint. At least with Hoko. And with other, I'm talking to a lot of friends from college, people who are entrepreneurs right now. A lot of my seniors, one of my seniors is the founder of Bombay Shaving Company. Another senior is the founder of Go Zero, right? When we are talking to all of these brands, especially FMCG brands, right? We are now done with looking towards the West for inspiration. Because I'm in the ice cream business, I'm sorry I'm taking slightly long to answer this question. But because we are in the ice cream business, we went to Italy right now for a Gelato Expo, right? It happens every year in Rimini. At that point in time, me and our promoter, our founder, we were discussing, right? Europe ke paas hai kya, right? They don't grow chocolate, chocolate is grown in Africa, right? They don't grow nuts. Majority of the nuts are either grown in the Middle East or in the US, right? Ultimately, and all the fruits and majority of the produce that is there in the US, a lot of the products in US, except for a few cherries here and there, they don't make it. So why should Europe become the center of innovation, or why should we follow everything that we do? We have so much internal that we have. We've been doing sweets for the last 5,000 years, right? With milk and, so much traditional sweets that we have. So from an inspiration standpoint, that is when we said that we will look internal and say that, all of these things, they will continue to keep doing. But we have a lot of, so we are going down to, villages, trying to ask people how they make traditional sweets, and trying to obviously see, we're an ice cream company, so we're trying to see if we can convert those sweets into the ice cream experience and so on and so forth. So if we are to become a developed economy by 2047, innovation is the key factor of growth, because we can't have a business model like China to grow. We will have to focus on innovation to grow. And I see a lot of college students here, and that is why I'm mentioning this. And for innovation to be sustainable and to commercialize it and to help you in your growth, IP is the key factor when you define product portfolio. So that is the long-winded but answer for product portfolio discussion.
Yes, please, sure, thank you.
Because you mentioned Shark Tank, nowadays they have started asking about IP. There was somebody who had, I don't remember what the proposition was, some person had come with a Jain shikanji, and he was asked, how are you going to differentiate this? So they've started asking, and again on brand identity, yes, the goodwill that a brand has created is so important. So most of you would know the brand Fair and Lovely. We have moved away from Fair and Lovely. It was a decades-old brand, several decades-old brand. But still, because it has so much goodwill and residual goodwill, our new packs still say Fair and Lovely is now Glow and Lovely. So, we are still using that to create that, draw from that previous goodwill. So that's the importance of brand identity.
Thank you so much. Sir has pointed out a very important aspect, that though our understanding of, being very brand conscious was something that we got from the West. But at this moment, what India or people in India or entrepreneurs in India are looking for is brand loyalty. And this brand loyalty is something, that is only going to come when you try to identify your own brand in very specific or different ways. And this is only going to happen when you understand IP. So I think understanding IP and finding out the right type of IP for your particular enterprise again becomes very, very important. Moving again to Ms. Malkani. So my next question is that if you can identify for all our audiences today, what according to you are the two most important strategies that are used for generally used for commercialization and management of IP by several businesses, including pharma or any other sector? Any two specific IP strategies?
Yeah. So if you have to commercialize something, you need something that is robust and protectable, right? So if you don't have a IP portfolio that you can protect, what are you going to commercialize? What is it that somebody is going to buy and give you value for? Like Japesh rightly said, he got that value for his business because Havmor had a certain credibility, identity. It was something that was protectable. And so therefore, it's important that, you keep looking inward into your IP portfolio and keep seeing how strong it is. Weed off brands that are non-focused brands, because it allows you to concentrate on brands that you are really interested in and grow it, and also maintain it in a manner that it is protectable. And also it's you also have to be aware that it's not only taking a trademark registration, maintaining it, that is enough. You should also be sometimes the aggressor. You should also be challenging other parties, so that you're creating that differentiation for yourself. And therefore you should also keep doing strategic enforcements from time to time. So you should also not only protect, you should also strategically enforce your IP portfolio. And you also have to continuously keep doing an IP audit to identify opportunities, how you can monetize brands or any other IP assets that you're not using, because there are so many opportunities, revenue generation opportunities that come with cross-licensing, that come with strategic business partnerships. So, if there is a IP that you are currently not interested in, but you're interested in somebody else's IP, that gives you an opportunity or a potential to, you know, discuss cross-licensing opportunity. You are getting a win, you're entering into a win-win solution for both the parties. So, you know, so keep your IP portfolio very focused, keep doing audits, identify gaps in it, because it's always important to have a very comprehensive protection. Say, for example, today you have applied for patent, your patent is valid, but you have not renewed your trademark, the mark under which you are selling that innovation. Then what's the point? Like, so you have to, you know, keep doing this audit and identify gaps, do a comprehensive IP protection from time to time. I think these are some of the important aspects that, you know, any business should, like, you know, and continue to use it regularly. Do not stop using it, because like sir also said, continuous use or use is something very important in most countries, including in India. Though statutory right is supreme, you're getting a registration, but your use even supersedes a registration, and you will be able to, like, you know, supersede somebody who already has a registration. You never had a registration, but you use the brand. So, you know, that is the way you have to look at, you know, you have to keep pruning your IP portfolio.
Thank you, ma'am. I think I am reminded of a very important example. So I'm sure all of us order from Uber Eats, and we have Fasos, we have the Good Bowl, we have Behrouz Biryani, but all of these are, you know, falling under the same enterprise. And this is how, you know, despite the fact that there's so much diversity, both in terms of their brand names, the kind of identity that they are trying to create, as well as in terms of the different cuisines that they are trying to market. But it's something, you know, the use aspect which ma'am just pointed out, I think this is very important, that here they are trying to just strike very directly at the consumer's mind, and everywhere with different brand names or with different, you know, eatery outlets, they are, you know, every time visible to everybody. So I think this is a very important way in terms of which you could, you know, increase the value of the IP that you're holding, or the brand identity that you're holding. So with this, I'd like to turn to Mr. Thakkar. You know, how has Zydus Life Sciences made use of the specific forms of IP to build its global image and kind of, you know, as far as global competition is concerned?
So, well, it's a long history of IP protection as well as the innovation behind it. IP plays a very, very significant role in Zydus, and for any pharmaceutical company, which I would agree. So basically, patents, most important part, where, you know, kind of you focus on the research and development, and you come up with innovations which are very, very important, which could be, you know, for the life-saving drugs. Like, we have filed numerous patents on new clinical entities, new biological entities. In fact, first NASH therapy got patented in India, Sarolitazar, which is in Zydus's name. So, and these are very, very important for us, and we filed, you know, hundreds of patents across the world. In fact, our patent filing budget runs into several crores every year. We continue to renew them across the, you know, kind of jurisdictions. So that is, you know, the patent part, the, you know, the most important. We defend the patents that, you know, generic, we launch biosimilars and all of that, where innovators file cases against us, and that's something which is very, very litigation heavy, you know, kind of portfolio that we have. Then trademarks, again, very, very important trademarks. We have some path-breaking trademarks which are very well known in pharmaceutical, like Lipaglyn, Pentodac, Oseed, you know, GRD powder and all, and wellness brands. They become so synonym to the generic products. Like, for example, sugar-free. Everybody talks about sugar-free. Sugar-free as a brand is owned by us. Then you have Nycil, Glucon-D, I was talking about, Nutralite butter, then, you know, Everyouth, which is the, you know, the cosmetic brand and all of that. So this is, when it comes to trademark, again, we protect the trademarks, very important. In fact, not so much on the wellness, but when it comes to pharma, coining trademark has become a very, very challenging for all across the industries, specifically for pharma. And I'll give you an example. 4 or 5 years back, Harvard Law School came up with a paper which says the English alphabets A to Z have been exhausted when it comes to coining a brand name. It's over. It is saturated. Now, what do you do in such cases? Then you have numerics, then you have certain design or some alphanumeric numbers come into the brand name and all of that. Now, pharma has a bigger challenge because most of the pharmaceutical companies want to brand their drug with the molecular name also. So imagine 50 pharmaceutical companies launching the same drug on day one of the patent expiry, where they want at least 2 or 3 letters of the molecule and some differentiating part. So that creates a lot of litigation. And I'll give you just an example. My trademark colleague is sitting here in this room. Out of 100 requests that we get from business units on approval of trademarks, we approve 1 or max 2. Rest all we say no, because we foresee that there would be a litigation on it. And whenever, hand on my heart, we had to give in, we have faced litigations. We had warned them not to use this, but we had to face litigation. So that's the saturation point worldwide on brand names. Then comes regulatory approvals for Zydus. Whenever we have, we file a lot of ANDAs across the world, and we secure them by filing registrations across the world. That is a very, very important when it comes to, kind of registering a product for marketing authorizations in various countries. Then process innovation. We keep innovating our processes so that we do a lot of clinical trials. We came up with a lot of biosimilar drugs recently, and biosimilar guidelines, following the biosimilar guidelines of the government of India. Still we are facing litigations from the innovators, but you have to do it because, as Mohan Bhai was saying, that some of these drugs are available at 1/5 of the price of innovator drugs. Imagine one injection being sold at 2 lakh rupees, where we can sell it for 70,000, 60,000, 80,000 rupees. So there's a lot of public interest involved in it, but then obviously litigation is bound to be there, but we have to fight it. So, so for Zydus, IP is a very, very important. We have taken conscious step. We have digitized. We have, IT enabled our portfolio, trademark portfolios. Wherever we have brands which are registered but not being used by the business units, we first offer them to them. Like from our own stock, we are offering that these are the brands which we have already registered or we have now discontinued and all of that. Please use them first. Then you ask for a new trademark, because you give me 10 names, assume that you won't get any of them. You'll have to come with 100 and I'll approve probably 1 or 2. And there also then, there's always somebody. Imagine, in early 2000 or late 90s, Viagra came to India. And there were hundreds of versions of Viagra being sold in India by Indian companies. Somebody will say Viagra, somebody will say Vigora, somebody say Vigorex, somebody say Vigoro, and all kinds. Everybody wanted to copy that because everybody thought that it's going to sell like a hot cake in India. And then there have been cases against all of them. And some of them are still going on. So, copying brand just does not make any sense. You have to think very, very innovatively and then, go for the trademark. So that's from Zydus.
Thank you, sir. He's helped us understand that for pharmaceutical sectors, it's actually more important when it comes to deciding what their names are going to be and how they are going to brand themselves and how they are going to sell themselves, and of course they then engage them in IP infringements. So on Mr. Jayadevan, I have a similar question for you. Ice creams are something that all of us here love, and it's with Hubbard and Holly also being associated with HOCO. What has been your experience as far as identifying the different IP protection and taking out the name for your particular brands are concerned?
Thankfully, unlike pharma, we don't have to use the molecule name, right? Imagine, what the hell is Swiggy, right? What the hell does it mean? I was talking to somebody from Zomato, and then they said, we like tomato, we said Zomato. So it doesn't mean anything, right? So from a brand trademark standpoint, especially when it comes to ice creams, right? And Jatin Bhai has always told us, the more wacky you are, that there's no association absolutely whatsoever with your product, the better it is, right? But unfortunately, if we go and sell something like that to the customer, that it's a chocolate cone, but it is called something else, right? It's going to be difficult for people to associate with that particular product. For pharma, obviously, it's necessary because that is how doctors prescribe that particular medicine to it and all of that. So it has to be a balance of the two. Again, I'm going to use cricket a lot because something that I enjoy, and Champions League is also going on. From a innovation standpoint, right? Always consider innovation to be the offense, to be your cover drives, to be your straight dives, to be your pull shot and all of that, right? From a brand standpoint, or at least people who are here from an innovation standpoint, you continue to innovate, right? Lawyers are going to come back and tell you no, right? Ye mat karna, don't keep these names, they're already taken, they're very, very similar, but just, and lawyers always play the role of the defense in you, because they are the ones who have to defend that total. So lawyers are the Bumrahs of the world, right? They say, at least make a 100 total, so that we can come and bowl and defend you, right? So, but it is a job of business people to play that offense and say, we will play the way we want to play. We will play our aggressive stroke play. We will not be defensive in our approach, right? So, whenever you want to innovate, right, don't let IP be the limiting factor for innovation. Don't let your imagination run wild whenever it comes to IP. That is what we do at HOCO, right? We've named some random names, right? You will see all of them soon during summer. Products that have, and in India, right, you are not short on languages for naming, right? You have 27 official languages, right? And it is not, and you have, if Gujarat is the leading market, you have Gujarati names. Not necessarily all your names have to be in English. If Elon Musk can name his son X, right, then you can name your, he's creating a brand out of it, right? What does, and I can't even pronounce his second kid's name, right? It's like that. But what the hell does it even mean? It's that kind of thing, right? So whenever, for people who are out here to innovate and think of brand names or logos or, from a trademark standpoint, be as creative as you can. You will, obviously you will take them to, one of the key things that we've started doing is involve our IP team, our YJT team, right from the brainstorming session itself, saying, ये 10 नाम सोच के आए, आप please बताओ कि क्या मिल सकता है, क्या मिल सकता है. Invariably, like Mr. Thakur said, they will say no to all the 10. But we'll be like, we'll call this HOCO this, HOCO that. We really want that name. We really like that name. There's nothing else like that in that market. So let's do it. So it's always going to be like that. So the more innovative you are with respect to the brand name, the easier it is to IP it and trademark it, right? From an entrepreneurship standpoint, right? It is okay if your name is not associated with the product. You can build your entire ethos around it. That's about.
So I'll just add something to what he said. He used the word YJT 2-3 times. Now I was just asking Gopi, did you name any of your sons starting with Y? And she asked me why. I said, see, there was YJT, now there is JYT, and you would have had one more YJT in the family to protect the brand.
Yeah, so I think creativity and being more fanciful and being more experimental with the kind of the names that you want for your brand, I think gives you a better value and a better attraction with the consumers that we are dealing with, because these days we all know that consumers are more trying to have their experience with everything that they are buying. So that experience, if we want that the experience stays with them for a very long time, we got to give them something that's very creative. So moving next to Ms. Malkani, my next question is that what is the role of IP when it comes to promoting anti-competitive initiatives?
Okay, so IP is actually supposed to promote healthy competition because it's all about balancing rights of the creator, innovator versus the public interest. But IP can also foster anti-competitive initiatives in the sense that because what you're getting out of a well-rounded or a well-protected IP is market leadership, market exclusivity, market differentiation. So thereby, it gives you the right to create a barrier to enter that market. So, you know, how do you do that? Like, you know, there are many ways, like, you know, companies who have robust IP, they can, like, you know, do patent stacking. They can, you know, create that evergreening around the patent so that, like, you know, nobody else can, even if it's not essential to their business, you know, they just don't want anybody coming within that periphery. Similarly, you can also do the same strategy for trademarks. Like, you know, you can create a boundary of trademark portfolio so that nobody can, you know, you're just blocking them for 10 years. You may not even use it, but you're blocking others from using, you know, those kind of names. Then you can also, like, you know, under competition law, there is an exception for IP under Section 3.5. So you can have exclusive contracts with your distributors, wholesalers. Now, you know, it's a very thin line when you become anti-competitive, but however, it is still possible, you know, when you're talking about IP, you can do territory differentiation. You can, you know, build in a lot of restrictive covenants into your agreement with your distributors and retailers. You can engage in predatory pricing as well. You can excessively, you know, price your products so that, like, you know, you are creating that barrier for any new entrant to come into that space. You may refuse to license your patent to someone so that, like, you know, nobody else can develop a similar product till the period of LOE, that is, you know, till the time of loss of exclusivity. Nobody is able to develop a similar product. You may also, you know, what also may impact consumers again is the high price, and second is, you know, you may refuse to bring a product into a particular market. So, you know, you are depriving the consumer of that product. Imagine if that is a medicine or, you know, some life-saving, you know, product, and, you know, the public access is not there. One, because of the pricing. Two, because it's not even available, and you're refusing to license. So there are a lot of strategies through which you can actually exhibit anti-competitive behavior. But yes, there are, of course, you know, there are various laws in the country that do take care of it. But, you know, if somebody wants to do it, yes, there are many ways to, you know, engage in anti-competitive behavior.
Thank you, ma'am. I think she's very beautifully helped us understand that how, you know, while simultaneously you are trying to establish your global reputation, you can also, you know, still be in the competition and not hurt your rival companies. So moving further to Mr. Thakkar, how do you see IP as providing an edge to Zydus Life Sciences over other market players in the pharmaceutical sector, especially, you know, after the last discussion that you said in terms of getting names for all the medicines? There's always a, you know, rivalry and competition between all the pharma companies. How is it been for Zydus?
So obviously we try and avoid copying brands. It's a very easy ask from the business units whenever they see, especially generic, you know, our division which sells, you know, generic drugs which are off patented and all of that, and where they see, you know, this particular medicine is, you know, selling good, so let us try and adapt few letters from that and do that, which we obviously strongly discourage. So what we have done is that we add something to the brand which is for us typical for Zydus. For example, we will say ZY as the first two letters of many of our brands. Then when we were Zydus Cadila, CAD used to be the letters which we would use in our brand. Then reverse of CAD, DSC, like for example if you see Pentodac, so Pantoprazole and then Cadila DSC. So we have done various such combinations to make them specific to us, where we are not actually, you know, kind of copying anybody else, but we would also have an edge when it comes to we want to protect that, and we'll go and get injunctions against those people. So basically, this is the the trademark strategy we mainly follow. Obviously, using molecular terms, as I said, it is very very unique to pharma industry, and we try and use it, but we sometimes also discourage our business units from using those letters, because other pharma companies are also going to use it, and therefore if we are one of the first movers, then let us establish a brand which is completely different from the molecule, so that doctors start remembering that, and then they know that this is, because if doctors were to start using the molecular names and there'll be 20 brands, then there could be a likely confusion. And even see what happens is that you go to your family doctor, he writes some brand name in his doctor's handwritings, everybody knows. Then you go to the medical store. Now you think medical stores all have those qualified BPharm people standing there to dole out the medicines to you? No. They are all 10 standard, 12 standard boys who are just hanging around in the colony, who are, as the salesmen there. They'll go and take out and give you the brand. Now, how many of you check the brand that you take, the medicine that you are taking, the expiry and all of that? Now, there are so many fake brands available even in pharmaceutical industry. So many medicines which are spurious and, kind of fake. Now, to educate people and all of that, now using that kind of a generic name, therefore it becomes very important that we create something very, very unique to Zydus. So this is how we do it.
Thank you, sir. My next question is to Mr. Jayadevan. Considering the recent news for HOCO, the fact that they've been able to increase their valuation, and they've tried to become very visible in the market, and the fact that now you are in direct competition with Havmor, if I may say so. How do you think it's going to pan out in, let's say, the next 5 years? And how do you think that the competition between HOCO and Havmor is, going to, be seen by everybody, and in terms of IP?
Okay, so from a competition standpoint, right? Anybody who has any dessert after dinner or lunch is a competition for us, right? So that includes Havmor, and Gujarat is such a beautiful state, right? Because there are 3 and now 4,000 plus valued brands born out of Gujarat. There's Amul, and just ice cream brand. Amul, Vadilal, Havmor, and now HOCO, right? So imagine the kind of market that Gujarat has and the kind of potential. And then I'm not even naming all the other brands that are there in Gujarat. There's Sheetal, there's Kushbu, so many brands that are there in Gujarat, right? So from a ice cream industry standpoint, what we feel is that now the market is ripe for the taking. I think there are a lot of infrastructures and a lot of pivot points that have played in this industry's favor, and all of them have come together, right? Earlier, if we have to enter a market, right, you'll have to do a go-to-market strategy. You'll have to find the distributor there. You'll have to convince the retailer there. Put a board, figure out competition. They will, convert the distributor even before you appoint them. All of that used to exist. Now with quick commerce in, right, while we are present in general trade in Gujarat and Rajasthan, and we've just launched Delhi, NCR, and Maharashtra. In quick commerce, we are available in Bangalore, we are available in Hyderabad. Soon we will be available in Chennai. We'll be available in Kolkata as well, right? So the entire industry is ripe for the taking with respect to the overall ice cream consumption, right? Because earlier, an ice cream as a product is primarily sells on availability. Let us say, for example, that you feel like eating ice cream. You either pick up your phone or you're driving down the road. Your favorite, and I've noticed this amongst people, I don't know what this is, that they're either chocolate or they are fruit. And I've never seen people who have chocolate eat fruit or vice versa. I don't know why that is. But let us say you feel like having chocolate ice cream. You saw a billboard somewhere of, HOCO or Havmor or whatever, and you want to have ice cream. And eventually you go to the deep freezer or a push cart. The first ice cream that you see is the ice cream that you're going to buy, right? you know that there are 4 big brands and you want to eat chocolate. All of them make good ice cream, and eventually that is what. So availability is the key factor. Same thing if you're sitting at home and you want to eat ice cream, you open up your phone, you type chocolate on Blinkit or Zepto and Instamart, and the first brand that comes, you all are recognized brands, right? You're going to beat that in. So traditionally, to answer this from an IP perspective, right? What is important for a brand like Hoko, with respect to all other ice cream competitive brands in the market, is to keep innovating again and again and again and again. That's the only thing. From a commercial standpoint, we know that vanilla is going to be the top selling. We know that strawberry and butterscotch and chocolate and 10 rupee products and 20 rupee products and cups and rural markets, those are the products that will drive volume, for sure, right? Unfortunately, in those products at that price point, innovation becomes very, very scarce, right? So as a company, all you talk about is the way you innovate in your higher price point products, or products where you see that you can market it. It might not sell, right? It might only do a little bit of sales, but you continue to innovate. That was our DNA then when we used to run our earlier company, and that is our DNA now. So with innovation as a strategy, IP becomes extremely critical, right? And I'll tell you an interesting insight into innovation. We launched this ball top cones called O cones, right? Which are packaged in a plastic packaging and then is there in a mono carton. The reason we put the plastic packaging around the O cone is so that the ball in the ice cream remains intact till the time it reaches the end consumer. Otherwise, what we have seen is the ice cream eventually, smashes when the end consumer is having it. Now, this is a 90 rupee price point product, right? And we thought, okay, we might do 1,000 boxes or 200 boxes a day, that kind of demand. So we didn't buy any equipment for it. We did it manually and all of that. Suddenly, right, because of quick commerce and because it's an innovative product, the advantage that we're seeing with quick commerce is people aren't price conscious at all, right? You say, see ice cream, buy ice cream. See product, buy product. I was reading an interesting report the other day. There are I'm sure people have heard of this brand called Two Brothers Organic Farms, and then there is Ashirvad. There's nobody in between. You either get atta for 50 rupees a kilo, or you get atta for 250 rupees a kilo, right? So, and people are buying it, right? Two Brothers Organic atta, right? And especially the Khapli atta and all of that are selling incredibly well on quick commerce compared to what Ashirvad is selling, right? So now we know that quick commerce as a channel offers premiumization from that standpoint. So if quick commerce consumers are buying premium products, they don't care about price, innovate. Now nothing's stopping you, right? So this just summer hasn't even started for us, right? And this particular product, this 90 rupee product, the demand has shot up so much that we are going to increase prices in March, right? Quick commerce is now asking for demand that we are unable to fulfill. So that is the kind of thing that IP will help you generate. If you continue to innovate, something or the other will click. You don't know when, you will never know when, and nobody will be able to tell you with certainty that this innovation is going to drive your top line, this innovation is going to do well. So I was just seeing a series in the morning. It said, भगवान मतलब इंसान का कर्तव्य है ट्राई करना. मतलब so as business people, it is our duty to continue to innovate. Something or the other will click, and it is the duty of the lawyers to protect us as we continue to innovate. So that's it.
So now you know why Gujarat is the diabetic capital of India. And why there are so many pharma companies in Gujarat. And why pharma lawyers, and he is sitting on the same dais.
Yeah, so yes, I think e-commerce, Mr. Jayadevan, he rightly pointed out that e-commerce is a place where, there's no boundary as far as price is concerned. And we're comfortably sitting at home and then we want to order. And also, e-commerce is equally a platform where there's a lot of confusion also that happens. But most of the time, consumers never pay attention to it. In fact, I don't know if this is the right platform to say it or not, but me and my husband, we often cherish the Matka Kulfi from Hoko, and there's another Matka Kulfi from Havmore also, but yes, there is a lot of difference when we ordered both, and that's how a slight difference just in the brand identity is what makes the company go. So my next question is to Ms. Malkani here. I'd like you, from the international standpoint and from WIPO's perspective, if you could just quickly give us what is it that every company or every enterprise must keep in mind insofar as avoiding IP litigation is concerned, and at the same time the auditing and the due diligence with respect to an enterprise is concerned.
So avoiding IP litigation, like Mr. Thakkar rightly said, I mean, there is no guarantee that you can avoid IP litigation, because especially in the pharma industry, you're playing within such a narrow field, because you have to choose a name either from the molecule name or from the receptor organ or from the ailment that it is treating, because there has to be some kind of a recall to the doctor and also to the patient. So, and for me also, all my life, being in an FMCG company, I have been telling my stakeholders and brand people, please do not choose name that speak to your consumers. And it is such a role reversal for me here, where everything speaks to your consumer. It has to speak to your consumer. Of course, we do have a lot of abstract and coin terms as well, but mostly you will find that most of them are playing around the molecule name or the receptor or the ailment. So therefore, from that standpoint, it's slightly difficult to avoid a litigation. You can only try to be creative, try to keep it as far away as, and like you rightly said, yeah, we also get 100 marks. We allow 1 or maybe not even 1. It's that difficult, so that, in unconventional trademarks, you have the color depletion theory. I think that extends to the name coining theory also for your general business. So, so like I said, all you can do is try and be as different as possible, but again, I could still find something similar that he has chosen, and likewise, even though we have tried to keep the boundary. So, litigation, like I said, is something purely you can't, when you advise business, when you finally clear a name, sometime, it also comes with a lot of caveats, like, subject to the party that we have found not using the mark in the market, you have to do that due diligence, or subject to a moderate risk, are you willing to take the risk? So there are a lot of, parameters that you have to see while, allowing a brand name and being strategic about it.
Thank you, ma'am. I think ma'am has, very beautifully made us understand that while legally speaking, if we go by what the law says, it says that, you can't be very generic. You can't, tell what your brand name is directly to the consumers. But at the same time, it talks about, when we discuss it from the perspective of the consumers, it must speak to the consumers well, so that it can be identified. So one last question to both of you. We'll go with Mr. Jayadevan first. What are the issues and challenges that an enterprise must be aware of while IP is being used as a management tool?
One of the primary challenges is because we are not lawyers, business people, entrepreneurs and everything. There are certain things that we might miss in communication while we, inform our legal team. So it is always important as a side step to involve lawyers from day one. So if brainstorming can happen with people like Ms. Malkani and Mr. Thakkar, it'll be easy for us to figure out what names to give and all of that. The second, I don't know if it's again it's a slightly gray area, right? If right now companies want to protect everything, right? As a strategy, right? Invariably, then you might get sidestepped into figuring out what to protect rather than how to innovate, right? So that's again an interesting balance that you want to keep, saying even if an IP is not trademarkable, or let us say you've launched a product that you cannot trademark or patent or anything. Patent I understand, from a pharma I understand. I'm talking purely from an FMCG standpoint. If you've not spent too much money behind developing a product or marketing that particular product, and you market it anyway, you're going to get competition irrespective, right? So for example, there's if you talk about biscuits, there's I used to think Britannia bourbon was Britannia's biscuit, right? and you know it was a trademark that Britannia had with the bourbon name. I just saw you know Sunfeast bourbon also, and multiple bourbons. So your competitors are going to come up with similar products regardless, right? So go ahead and launch the product anyway. You know, you might get the first movers advantage, you might not, but as I said, it's important to continue doing it irrespective of whether, you know, sometimes it might not be trademarkable, but that's okay. So one of the key things that I wanted to convey here is to involve the people defending you from as early as possible, right from the brainstorming stage itself. If you do that, then you know they might be able to suggest better or help you better, you know, sort of involve them in the team huddle right from the start, and not when everything is done and then now you tell them go and, you know, trademark this for us or go and fight this for us. That doesn't happen typically. So yeah, that is the only thing that I wanted to convey. Yeah.
So I'll add something to what he's saying is that another thing that, you know, you said challenges, the cost part of it, the cost of filing IPs and protecting it, defending it, litigation and all, for a big pharmaceutical company runs into crores. So that is one challenge, that IP as such is a very costly affair, but it is necessary, but it's not very easy that you will have always a very smooth sail. Litigations, especially patents and all of that, go into crores of rupees. And another challenge is IP laws are so complex that you don't get good quality lawyers, and with due respect, sometimes even judges don't understand IP as much as they should, and therefore only few courts in India, mainly Delhi and to a little bit extent Bombay, have been able to successfully deliver IP judgments, and they are therefore preferred jurisdictions for IP litigations. And other courts, they don't grant you the protection that you want on the day one. They will simply issue notices, and then, you know, in a trademark infringement suit, Vijaya can confirm, if you don't get injunction on day one, it's that suit has no meaning at all. So, and third is balancing protection vis-a-vis the innovation. So these are the, you know, kind of challenges that we regularly face when it comes to IP as a, you know, see, you can use it very well. If you have a good IP, you can license it, you can earn money out of it, and that's fine. I mean, in-licensing agreements are very, very common in pharmaceutical, out-licensing, technology transfer agreements in newer markets, and all of that is a very, very good thing, so long as there are no challenges. And when it comes to warranties and indemnities, no innovator gives you any warranty or indemnity on the IP that you are going to in-licensing, for which you are going to pay millions of dollars. They'll say you do your due diligence, and at risk you do whatever you want to do. We have been doing this business for many years. If you come, you use my license and you start selling it, I'm not guaranteeing if there is any litigation come, I'm not going to stand behind you, because nobody wants that kind of liability when they're, you know, licensing their IP and all of that. So these are very, you know, tricky and complex issues that you deal with. It's not a very straightforward game like FMCG. I mean, in a sense, it will be simpler compared to pharma.
All right. Thank you. I think we've come to the end of our discussions in the panel one. With the permission of Gopi ma'am, could we take a few questions, or only one question? Yeah, okay. Anybody from the audience, any one question, one if you want to ask?
Any lucky draw for one question? Okay, there's the first hand. This is what I was talking to her before this class.
We were just having... Yeah, I think that's a very relevant question. And as far as WIPO is concerned, please understand that WIPO is a platform where we get general information about IP and the international perspective of what is the process. Now we have ipindia.gov.in, the Indian website, and there you have enough information about what are the different patents that are being filed and what is the process. Apart from that, we have the government initiative by NEPAM. So NEPAM is one initiative by the government, especially after the national IP policy of 2016, after which now they are trying to tie up with as many educational institutions as possible and to ensure that basic understanding of IP is given. The problem is that with respect to technology institutes, it is very important now that we have a designated or dedicated course of IP from the perspective of entrepreneurship and the fact that technology can be used in an incentivized manner. So I think that's something which the government has been doing, but yes, I will take your point, and I think we'll try to incorporate it as much as possible. I'm from Institute of Law, and then we will try to have as many IP based sessions in conferences as are possible, but I'm sure YG Trivedi and AMA here has been doing it regularly. So I think a collaboration with amongst all of us is going to be a step towards it. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our esteemed panelist and our esteemed moderator for the same. Now, we would like to move on to our next session, which is IP for business growth. Before that, to capture this moment, we would request our panelist and moderator to please come up on in the front for a good photograph. I request Gopi ma'am, Jatin sir and Sailesh sir to please come up on the stage for the group photo. To introduce our session moderator for the second session, I invite Ms. Gopi Trivedi ma'am, Member Executive Committee, on the stage.
Such a wonderful session, and what we can see, the mix of risk-taking to the wisely taken decision. So it was quite long, broad spectrum we had from the IP experts. So all the panelists and the moderator, you did a wonderful job. Now moving to the next session of Intellectual Property IP Summit, we have the session is about the IP for growth, and we're going to have the passionate people from the creative industry. And just before starting the session, let me introduce our moderator, Dr. Chaitali Jani. She is a distinguished academician, a company secretary, and a legal consultant with expertise in corporate law and governance. She currently serves as director of LJ School of Law and is also a consulting company secretary. She has interestingly completed her PhD in Artificial Intelligence and Law and IP very recently. Ma'am would like to hear a few things about that part of yours too. She is also a passionate dancer, a marathon runner, and actively involved in the social services. Ma'am, I request you to come on the stage and take the session ahead, and also to all the panelists.
A very good evening to one and all present here. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to this enriching, exciting, and insightful panel discussion on IP for business growth. organized by YJ Trivedi and AMA Academy, an organization that is at the forefront of IP rights, helping many innovators, creators, and businesses in protecting and maximizing the value of IP. In this panel discussion, we are going to focus on an industry where creativity meets commerce. An industry which must be very close to everyone's heart sitting over here. Everybody must be interested. The film industry and the online streaming platform for web series, movies, and songs. So the discussion is going to be a little interesting. In today's knowledge-driven economy, IP is not just a legal safeguard. It creates value, it protects innovation, and at the same time, it gives a competitive edge to the businesses. For creative industries, IP is the backbone. When we watch a movie or listen to a song or play an online game, it is not just for the sake of entertainment. It generates value. It generates revenue, it boosts the brand equity, and it boosts the economic growth. So from the copyrights that protect the films and music to the trademark that create the brand equity, IP is must. It is very crucial today for monetizing creativity and protecting the rights of the original creator. With the advancement in technology and digital transformation, there are ample opportunities in the entertainment industry. But with ample opportunities come ample challenges also, like piracy, copyright infringement, content theft. There are multiple issues like unauthorized use of online streaming platforms. So apart from that, there is one important issue which Gopi ma'am just said, that I just completed my PhD in the same issue. World over, the debate is going on that IP rights should be given to AI also, artificial intelligence also, because just by a click of mouse, ChatGPT will generate the entire content, right? And the advanced version of artificial intelligence can create movie scripts, can create music, songs, films, everything. Then human can be easily replaced by AI. So it is very impertinent at this juncture to see and protect the creativity of the humans as well. We have our expert panelists today to explore these aspects. They have wealth of knowledge with them and first-hand experience regarding the film industry and the music industry. So they would let us know how to grow the business with the help of IP. I would like to welcome our panelists for today, Manan Desai sir, Dhruvin Shah sir, and Twinkle Bawa ma'am. Kindly grace the dais. On behalf of YJ Trivedi AMA Academy, I would like to welcome you. Dhruvin sir. Ma'am, can you please join me in welcoming? Ms. Twinkle Bawa. And Mr. Manan Desai.
Like to felicitate our moderator.
So I feel privileged to introduce the distinguished panelists for today, starting with Dhruvin Shah sir, a young, talented Indian actor. He made his feature film debut with the 2017 Gujarati movie Superstar, and thereafter worked in a lead role in films like Medal, Super Dogs, Veer Ishanu Seemant, etc. He identified opportunities in the Gujarati entertainment sector and founded Jojo app and launched it in October 2023. So he just launched this app in October 2023. In less than 1.5 year span, Jojo app has presence in more than 177 countries, and it has more than 50 lakh registered users globally. So Jojo is the first and only exclusive platform offering Gujarati entertainment content. We welcome you, sir. Twinkle Bawa ma'am. She is the head of Vijayagiri Films, Vijayagiri Filmos, a film production house based in Ahmedabad. Ma'am has been active in the field of filmmaking for the last 15 years. She has experience in advertising campaigns, copywriting, documentaries, and films. She has won many awards for the advertisement campaigns. Many of the films have earned accolades, and some of the remarkable works include her films Premji, The Rise of Warrior, won the Gujarati government's highest award, including the Best Film for the Year. Montuni Bittu won the award to the most popular film of the year. Equismo Tiffin was elected in Indian Panorama at the International Film Festival of India. And last but not the least, Kasumbo, the first ever mega budget Gujarati historical film, a mega buster, blockbuster super hit film of last year only. We welcome you, ma'am. Manan Desai. Manan Desai is a Gujarati known by all the Gujaratis around the world. He is committed to taking regional Gujarati comedy to a global stage. With his recent stand-up comedy, with his recent stand-up special, Jati Reje, he traveled to more than 15 countries, performed more than 100 shows, and sold more than 50,000 tickets. He is a versatile personality. Apart from stand-up comedy, he has worked in movies and has also written award-winning scripts for movies. He has produced live comedy shows and has also engaged viewers digitally on his live gaming channel. Manan Desai sir has developed multiple IPs, including the Lavari show, Mananni Vato, Gujju Night Out, and also Gujarati cricket commentary for IPL. So we welcome you, sir.
So, I would like to start with Dhruvin sir. If you can tell us something about your journey as an actor and as a founder of Jojo app, what kind of journey you have tried and what kind of IP rights and how the IP has played a role in growth of your business. Just in a 1.5 year, you have presence in 177 countries. So how IP has played role in that?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for the warm welcome and the lovely introduction. Hello, hello. Yeah. I feel like Jojo has sort of become, it's on the way to becoming a even further household name. We started our journey a couple of years ago. We were in an incubation period for about 2 years, much towards the second wave of COVID. And since then, we started socializing within the industry. Obviously, having done a film really helped. I was actually in the US, just to share a little bit about my journey. I'm an actor and I've got a degree in acting and an associate degree in film production from New York, Los Angeles. And I've also worked in Paramount, Universal and Netflix in Los Angeles. And upon returning from there back to India, I've realized that the industry is quite different and it operates very differently. And particularly speaking of the Gujarati industry, a lot of growth is happening year on year. May that be in terms of the ideology, to say the least, and obviously in terms of the production quality, the kind of marketing approach, the kind of bolder steps that the industry is taking in general. So about 2020, 2021, we pretty much started to meet around people, understand who has what kind of a library. Obviously, Shemaru was doing quite well at the time, and they'd having their presence for so many years, they'd gathered a lot of IPs, So entering into that scenario, and we were very sure about one thing, कि આપણે ખાલી એવું એક platform બનાવવું છે જે ગુજરાતીઝને globally serve કરશે. That was our mission statement, and even today we are on that mission of connecting global Gujaratis. So we created the entire tech in-house. We created based on an entire survey. There was no real research done on Gujarati entertainment. Yes, there were some numbers coming in that out of the 100 movies that release in the market, hardly, I want to say 5 to 10% actually could monetize to an extent of a box office success, right? In this scenario, IPs were looked at very differently. They were obviously tied to box office success. They were obviously tied to, and are still tied to the kind of, presence that it has created in people's minds, right? For example, just since you're here, obviously Kasumbo, everyone has sort of known that as an IP. So obviously that IP is worth way more than another Gujarati film, that because there are all kinds of films that are being made, So we see films that are on a very smaller budget being made as well, films being made at a larger scale, a more better production, a more better marketing, catch. And I personally feel that JoJo has come a long way because we were consistent, right? I mean, we still continue to be. We've just had a short journey of a year and a half, and within that time, we've been able to acquire over 150 movies, about 30 to 40 shows, some 20 plus nataks, and obviously Jati Raje being one of the stand-up special. Always happy to do this with Manan. And we've got so many more stand-up specials again coming along the way, and more IPs along the way. So it is safe to say that with a weekly release calendar, where we can claim that one new release every week, I feel like JoJo has the current library to sustain past July, August, given the current lineup. And obviously, having crossed 50 lakh users within our first year, our target for this year is to have over 1 crore Gujaratis connected onto the platform. We continue to serve in all the territories, may that be US, UK, Canada, Africa, all these prime markets. Apart from that, would also like to share that JoJo is part of a listed company, which is MCOM 18. And within that JoJo ecosystem, we're also trying to build a lot more. Like, we are trying to take Gujarati movies and release them to the world. So we've already released movies like Fakta Purusho Mate, Tron Ekka, Fakta Mahilaon Mate, Kutch Express, and many more, where we carry the Gujarati movie and we do an official cinema release, which there are not many players that are doing this right now. This we do as an extension to the acquisition of the rights that we do. So currently, just to sum up JoJo's content slate, we've got acquisition, we've got production, and all these various departments. Right now, since the market had so much to offer and there were so many IPs that were unclaimed or sort of not streaming on any platform, we swooped in at the right time, and we handsomely acquired all of these IPs for the platform. Majority of them are exclusive, and we'll get more towards that as well. But yeah, I think being in this game now, it feels much more rewarding because we've sort of understood the value of each IP, and whenever we've seen the life cycles, right? So something that we acquired maybe or produced something maybe a year or year and a half, and we've been holding on to those IPs, and now we are seeing that how the revenue cycles are coming in, how we can further monetize it territory wise and otherwise, like, and how we can actually see the life cycle and the revenue coming back in. So IP protection is absolutely important, and would love to share more as we proceed into this. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate you have studied abroad and still you are so passionate about Gujarati film industry, and you are taking it to the next level with the knowledge you have acquired over there, and the IP will definitely play an important role in that. Moving to Manan sir, being a stand-up comedian, I would like to ask you the importance of IP for a stand-up comedian, and you being an international artist, you have performed in many countries. So what are the global trends in IP in stand-up comedian perspective?
I think it's very important કે અચ્છા અહીંયા હિન્દી ગુજરાતી ચાલશે કે નહીં ચાલે કે હું ઇંગ્લિશ જ એટલે મારી ડિગ્રીનો ઉપયોગ કરું અહીંયા કે નહીં કે how many of you understand Gujarati? Okay, anybody who doesn't understand Gujarati? 1 2 3 okay 4 okay हाँ okay no so मैं थोड़ा हिंदी इंग्लिश गुजराती मिक्स रखूँगा ठीक है तो बात ऐसी है कि when I started off as a stand-up comedian, I had zero awareness about intellectual property overall. The first IP that we registered was the Comedy Factory, which in IP terms is a very generic term, very generic name to have. But thankfully, जिस तरह से हमने grow किया, the Comedy Factory is now synonymous to us. And we are synonymous to the Comedy Factory. So global terms में जो आप बात कर रहे हो, as in stand-up comedian, after that I have so many IPs registered under the name the Comedy Factory, TCF Private Entertainment Private Limited. That's our company's name. And we have so many different IPs जैसे जति रेजे है, दलवारी शो है, मनन्नी थेरेपी है. वो IP actually हमने जियो को दे दी थी. So that was also a learning process कि अगर आप किसी प्लेयर को IP दे देते हो तो फिर बाद में आपकी IP गई हाथ में से और आपको कुछ करने नहीं मिलेगा उस IP से. So वो we can have that conversation later on. Raj हंसी रहे हो.
I wish Manan that had happened before we got in touch. Never mind.
So then as a stand-up comedian, I've realized that the importance of my jokes, my content is so important because South Asian mindset is such कि भाई क्या बिक रहा है मार्केट में उसको उठाओ और उसका एक डिफरेंट वर्जन खुद का बनाओ और बेच दो. अभी उसको रोकने के लिए तुम क्या कर सकते हो क्योंकि पायनियर्स तो थोड़े बहुत ही रहेंगे बट देन देयर विल बी लॉट ऑफ डुप्लीकेट आइटम्स और वो डुप्लीकेशन को कैसे स्टॉप करना है तो उसके लिए इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी है. वो मुझे 2015-16 में समझ आ गया बिकॉज आई वॉज माई हैंड्स ऑल्सो गॉट बर्नड अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स. मैं भी मिस्टेकनली 1-2 IP यूज़ किया जिसकी वजह से मुझे प्रॉब्लम्स हुए, मेरी लीगल टीम खर्चा भी बहुत हुआ. सो देन आई रियलाइज, देन आई स्टार्टेड अंडरस्टैंडिंग IP मोर एंड मोर एंड इट रियली हेल्प मी थ्रू आउट द जर्नी ऑफ माइन. एंड ग्लोबली ऑल्सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आज आप गूगल सर्च करोगे द कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री या मनन देसाई, सो टॉप द फर्स्ट पेज इज कम्प्लीटली फिल्ड विद आवर सर्च रिजल्ट्स. And that says a lot about the digital or the actual footprint of the IP. And that's what we are chasing, ideally speaking. Usually क्या होता है कि लोग पहले IP रजिस्टर करते बाद में लॉन्च करते for a lot of things. क्रिएटिव फील्ड में मुझे ऐसा लगता है कई बार कि मेरी काफ़ी ऐसी IP है जो मैं जाने देता हूँ. मुझे लगता है कि ये जैसे मनन्नी बातों करके मेरा अभी पॉडकास्ट शो है, आई हैव नॉट रजिस्टर्ड इट क्योंकि मुझे नहीं पता कि मैं उसके साथ क्या करूँगा. और यहाँ पे लोग हैं नहीं किया अभी कर देते तो 4 लोग ऐसे सोच रहे कर देते अभी. कर लो भाई, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. अगर आप कर भी लोगे तो भी मैं क्लेम कर दूंगा, इतनी अच्छी लीगल टीम है मेरी. तो आई विल कम टू दैट लेटर ऑन. बट ग्लोबली इट हैज़ रियली हेल्प मी एंड माई टीम टू एस्टैब्लिश अ नेम बिकॉज ऑफ हैविंग very strong adherence in registering IPs, and that is because of my legal team which I have, which at every step advises me कि ये मत करो, ये clause change करो, ऐसा करवाओ, ये मत करवाओ. तो उसकी वजह से काफ़ी difference है in my overall thought process. Because sometimes when young minds, when I was starting off, I have signed many contracts without understanding. Like there are contracts कि जिसमें you know film producers or media houses they register your AI and they take your signature कि बाद में आपकी ज़रूरत नहीं है, आप भाड़ में जाओ, हम लोग आपका AI जनरेट करके बना लेंगे जो बनाना है वो. So that is also mentioned in a lot of contracts which my legal team has made me understand, because obviously पहली बार जिसके साथ भी ऐसा कुछ भी होता है तो वो लोग जलेंगे, मतलब उनका प्रॉब्लम होगा. और उससे ही हमको सीखना है, और वो लीगल टीम ही आपको बता सकती है. So yeah, that's the overall answer for your question.
So I'm sure you will be a trendsetter for other Gujarati comedians for taking help of IP. So is it very common in other countries for the stand-up comedians of other countries to get their IP registered to take the IP rights, or like vis-a-vis India?
Yeah.
So compared to Indian comedians, what is the scenario outside India?
आई थिंक आउटसाइड इंडिया जितने भी कॉमेडियंस के साथ मैंने इंटरेक्ट किया है, सी कॉमेडियंस का मेन जॉब होता है टू राइट जोक्स, और मुझे लीगैलिटीज़ और ये सब चीज़ों से बहुत ही त्रस्त हो चुका हूँ मैं, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट. मतलब यार ये आधा टाइम तुम FIR फेस कर रहे हो, आधा टाइम लीगल केसेस फेस कर रहे हो. जो थोड़ा बहुत टाइम बचता है उसमें से जोक्स लिखते हो, वो भी अपलोड करते हो, और उसके बाद कोई कमेंट में लिख देता है ना मजा आई, तो फिर what's the point? So for that, every comedian outside of India whom I have met, they have a very strong team. Like Godfrey करके एक न्यूयॉर्क का comedian है, Nimesh Patel है, he's also a friend. Then I met Hasan Minhaj also. I've spoken briefly to him, and I understood that you can't really, even if you are a solo performer, you can't really do much if you don't have a strong legal team as a creative person. And I think on the way you have to find people around you कि जो IP में interest रखते हैं. आपका कोई दोस्त होगा कि who is pursuing IP law, you have to make friends with that person and sort of work hand in hand in the beginning. And then slowly and gradually, if there is growth as you as an artist, then you can hire better people, or you can have the same person and sort of make him or her, you know, at par with you. So that's how it works. I mean, legal team के बिना कुछ नहीं हो सकता ये सब. आप जितना भी, आपको जितना भी law आप पढ़ लो, जितना भी करो, but a legal team is a must to help you survive.
ChatGPT cannot help there. So,
I've dealt with this legal team, so I know.
So thank you so much, sir, for giving the global perspective. Moving to Twinkle, ma'am. Kindly share your views. You are there in film industry for more than 15 years. So what is the awareness level in Gujarati film industry regarding the IP rights? Whether the professionals are taking, actually they are taking trademark or copyright for their work. So I just want to know the current trends in Gujarati film industry.
First of all, thank you. ફર્સ્ટ ઓફ ઓલ થેન્ક યુ કે એન્ટરટેનમેન્ટ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીને આવી રીતે તમે લોકોએ કન્સિડર કરી. બીજી બધી જ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી કરતાં ફિલ્મ ઇકોનોમિક્સ છે ને એ બહુ જ ડિફરન્ટ છે. આમ એવું કહેવાય કે ફિલ્મ પ્રોડક્શન જ છે, પણ પોટ્રી ફાર્મમાં ચિકન પ્રોડ્યુસ થાય અને માણસ બાળકને જન્મ આપે, એમાં જે ડિફરન્સ છે ને એટલો જ ડિફરન્સ એ કોઈ પ્રોડક્ટના પ્રોડક્શનમાં છે અને ફિલ્મના સર્જનમાં છે. એટલે હું એવું કહું છું કે પેલું ઉત્પાદન છે અને આ સર્જન છે. અને બીજી વસ્તુ એવી છે કે હવે એ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીમાં જ્યારે કન્વર્ટ થાય છે, આપણને બધાને ભૂખ લાગે છે, ઠંડી લાગે છે, ક્યાંક જવું હોય તો આપણને ટ્રાન્સપોર્ટેશનની જરૂર પડે છે, પણ બધા જ લોકોને વાંચવાનો શોખ નથી, બધા જ લોકોને ફિલ્મ જોવાનો શોખ નથી, બધા જ લોકોને ટેલિવિઝન જોવાનો શોખ નથી. એ પર્સનલ ચોઇસ ઉપર ડિપેન્ડેડ છે માસ કોમ્યુનિકેશન, પણ ઇટ ડિપેન્ડ્સ ઓન યોર પર્સનલ ચોઇસ. એટલે આની જો ઇકોનોમિક્સ છે ને એ બહુ ડિફરન્ટ છે. અને એમાં સૌથી વધારે જેમ મનને વાત કરી કે મારું મગજ ખરાબ થઈ જાય છે લીગલ વાત આવે ત્યારે કે ટાઈમ જ નથી રહેતો, પણ એકચ્યુઅલી પછી એણે કીધું કે આઈપી મને ઘણી હેલ્પ કરે છે કમાવામાં, સર્વાઈવ કરવામાં. તો ફિલ્મ્સ હોય કે કોઈ પણ ક્રિએશન હોય તો આઈપી એડ્સ વેલ્યુ ટુ દેટ પ્રોડક્ટ. કોઈ પણ પ્રોડ્યુસર્સ હોય, ઇન્વેસ્ટર્સ હોય, એ લોકોને સિક્યોરિટી જોઈએ. ફિલ્મ્સ એ હાઈ રિસ્ક હાઈ ગેઇનનો બિઝનેસ છે, પણ એમાં ઇન્વેસ્ટર્સ તો જ આવશે અને ટકી રહેશે જો તમે કોઈક સિક્યોરિટી પ્રોવાઈડ કરશો. તો ગુજરાતી ફિલ્મ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીની હું વાત કરું તો અમે લોકો 2015માં પહેલી ફિલ્મ પ્રોડ્યુસ કરી હતી. એટલે આમ 10 વર્ષથી ગુજરાતી ફિલ્મો બનાવીએ છીએ. અલગ અલગ ઇન્વેસ્ટર્સ સાથે, પ્રોડ્યુસર્સ સાથે ટાઈઅપ લાસ્ટ ફિલ્મમાં જ અમે લોકોએ કર્યું કસુંબોમાં. તો મારા એક્સપિરિયન્સથી હું અત્યારના ટ્રેન્ડ પ્રમાણે એવું કહું કે હવે આર્ટિસ્ટ પણ એટલા જ અવેર થયા છે. કોન્ટ્રાક્ચ્યુઅલ એગ્રીમેન્ટ જે કંઈ પણ હોય છે એ બધા વાંચે છે. ફિલ્મના એગ્રીમેન્ટમાં ફિલ્મ એવું છે કે ઇન્ડિયામાં સૌથી વધારે લાર્જેસ્ટ આઈપી ક્રિએટર ઇઝ ઇન્ડિયા એવું કહેવાય, કારણ કે લાર્જેસ્ટ ફિલ્મ પ્રોડક્શન ઓલ ઓવર ધ વર્લ્ડ ઇન્ડિયામાં થાય છે. અને અહીંયા સિનેમેટોગ્રાફર પણ ક્રિએટર છે, એક્ટર પણ ક્રિએટર છે, મ્યુઝિક ડિરેક્ટર પણ ક્રિએટર છે, સિંગર પણ ડિરેક્ટર છે, ક્રિએટર છે. તો આ બધા જ ની પાસે એમના ઇન્ડિવિજ્યુઅલ આઈપી છે. હું ધ્રુવીનને એઝ એન એક્ટર મારી ફિલ્મમાં લઉં છું અને હું કોન્ટ્રાક્ટ કરું છું, તો એની એક્ટિંગ છે એ એઝ અ પ્રોડ્યુસર હું એની ઓનરશિપ લઉં છું એવું મારે એને કોન્ટ્રાક્ટમાં લખવું પડે. એવી જ રીતે મ્યુઝિક ડિરેક્ટર જે કંઈ પણ મ્યુઝિક ક્રિએટ કરે છે એ મારે કોન્ટ્રાક્ટમાં લખવું પડે. તો એ અવેરનેસ લગભગ છેલ્લા 5-1 વર્ષથી ગુજરાતી ફિલ્મ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીમાં આવી છે. અને મે બી એના લીધે જ હવે ગુજરાતી ફિલ્મ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી એક અલગ ગ્રોથ અચીવ કરી રહી છે અને સારી સારી ફિલ્મો બની રહી છે. મોટા બજેટની ફિલ્મ્સ બનાવવા માટે પ્રોડ્યુસર્સ રિસ્ક લઈ રહ્યા છે. બાકી પહેલાં એક સમય હતો કે જ્યારે કોઈ કોન્ટ્રાક્ટ જ નહોતા થતા, કોઈ લીગલ ફોર્માલિટીઝ જ નહોતી થતી અને એના લીધે કદાચ રેવન્યુ જનરેટ નહોતી થતી, અથવા તો ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી એટલે ફિલ્મ સિનેમાને એક ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી તરીકે કન્સિડર નહોતી કરાતી. એક પ્રોબેબલ ઇન્વેસ્ટમેન્ટ કોઈને કરવું હોય તો સિનેમામાં લોકોને રસ નહોતો પડતો. એવું જ લાગતું હતું કે આમાં તો પૈસા ગુમાવી દેશે, અથવા તો બ્લેક એન્ડ વ્હાઇટની ગેમ છે, અથવા તો લોકો એવી રીતે કન્સિડર કરતા હતા કે આ સારી ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી નથી. બટ લીગલ પ્રોસિજર્સ એન્ટર થઈ છે, લોકો એટલા જ અવેર થયા છે, એના લીધે આ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીને એક વેલ્યુ મળી છે. અને એટલે જ કદાચ જોજો જેવું પ્લેટફોર્મ ઊભું કરવાની હિંમત ધ્રુવીને કરી છે. That is it.
Ma'am has pointed out a very good point that the contracts which are there, which includes the IP rights for actors, for singers, for musicians, everything. So that is a new point maybe for everyone to know. Thank you, ma'am. Dhruvin sir, you host so many movies and music on your online platform. So I just want to know, how do you acquire and protect the rights of music hosted on your platform, and what specific IPs you have taken for JoJo? If you can share some technical details about the IP.
Absolutely, would be happy to. So obviously, whenever we are sitting in a negotiation table, when we are trying to acquire certain rights, first of all, I completely agree that when we are creating an IP, at that point, there are certain rights when it comes to movies, right? Like we need to sign the actors, we need to do like crew deal memos, cast deal memos, we need to get the ownership of their work so that there are no further claims. And once that entire IP is created and the final, let's say the DCP or the final output is ready, which can then be released into the cinemas after all the NOCs and whatnot. Similar process for an OTT, right? We have a QCTC team that goes and verifies all the content is up to the mark or not, right? Obviously, there are no regulations beyond a point right now for the digital, ecosystem in entertainment. But very soon, I have a gut feeling that that is also going to come, where digital space is going to be heavily censored, and that is up for another discussion. But as far as today is concerned, I personally feel that our objective as a platform is obviously to acquire more and more rights, right? Like we would like to get the Lord Stock Barrel, we would like to get the negative rights of any content that is being created. That is obviously the number one. But obviously it doesn't work like that, right? Every deal is different that we have done at JoJo. Why? Because some maker has something else in mind. There is obviously co-productions. There are obviously sometimes leave-fors that are being committed. Sometimes certain rights are righted off to someone before the release so that the film can release. See, we are a growing industry, so a lot of the times, in lieu of funds that are required to take the project forward, makers oftentimes have distributed the rights, and raised capital for the film to complete. So when it comes to us, that now we have to come in and now we have to do the due diligence, make sure all the rights are signed off by everyone involved. May that be the crew or the actors or may that be the writers or may that be even the director for that matter, or the music director. We need to make sure that we have all the NOCs from all the people who have been a part of the project. After which we again verify that okay, these rights are not with anybody else in the open market, because we don't want any further conflict, right? I mean, why would we spend in litigation when we can invest that in content and gather more IPs, right? So aggressively we have been going in movies, web series, reality shows, documentaries and all the other categories. Wherever we are acquiring content, we make sure that we try to get all the rights. Obviously, wherever it's not possible, our priority is the digital rights, because we are in the digital ecosystem. We make sure that we also get syndication rights. So whenever JoJo expands its reach to, let's say, the likes of Airtel, Vodafone, Jio and many other platforms where we do B2B2C deals, where we work with partners, where we work with telcos and whatnot. By the way, that's coming, all of it is coming this year. We're also partnering with companies like Do and all in the UAE and many more. So there, if we have, for example, let's take Manan's example. If we've taken Jati Reje's exclusive rights, which we have, minus the AI rights, which Manan made sure that we miss out on. So that we have excluded because we love Manan as the original person he is, and we would love to create more content rather than create his AI version from Jati Reje. But just taking that as an example, now whenever JoJo is being carried on any set-top box or any other third-party, ecosystem, we ensure that all of our titles that we have on the standalone app is being taken there as well, right? So these are very like smaller things that people usually don't notice, but it is very, very important. Then there are several other, I mean, if you actually talk about the film rights, once an IP is ready or released or whatever, there are at least 150 plus types of rights that can be monetized, right? This is just, I mean, I'm sure there is even more than that, right? So there are dubbing rights for certain languages. If you just think about it, there are so many combinations that can be done in which the rights can be further monetized, right? Like there are a lot of the times, like for example, we dub certain languages, right? So that dubbing rights can be then given. For example, if serious makers, right, like Vijay Filmos, right? So they might want to retain the remake rights or the prequel sequel rights or things like that, right? So there are those kind of rights as well, which are content specific. Then there are rights that you can further go and sell and monetize. For example, airborne rights or ship rights, or let's say a particular territorial rights, right? Satellite rights, broadcasting rights, you name it, I'll give it. I mean, there are music rights. Obviously, there are so many kind of rights that you can obviously monetize further. So while it looks like we are in the middle of entertainment, and obviously we are loving the content production that is happening. We are loving the screenings that we are doing every week. We are loving the content that we are onboarding, the marketing campaigns that we are constantly coming out with every month. It is so much fun. But really, in all of this glamour, so to speak, or all of this, film production activity that is happening all around us, the most important thing is the black and white, right? Because all of our effort, our team's efforts, everything is aligned towards what we have in that small contract that we have, So we obviously go for it all, but certain times there are certain situations where creativity is required, right? Where we have to part with certain rights to negotiate the amount also, because we are trying to create an open environment where we can acquire more than 70 to 80% of all the films that are being made, minus the ones that we don't want to take as part of the quality correction. Sometimes we take a stand that we will not acquire such content, because certain times Gujarati movies of a lower budget are also being made for subsidies, or just to make that, just to spin that money and churn it into some quick cash. And that is not how a serious maker sees the process, right? How she beautifully described how a filmmaker sees, content production. So I believe that the platform is for serious makers who are repeatedly returning producers, and how we can engage them in a relationship where they make money, where the rights are also syndicated through us, where we make sure that the distribution happens globally for a content that is made after so much hard work and effort. A lot of the times we also promote revenue share. For example, if we have, by the way, JoJo is also an ad-based platform. So you can obviously download it for free and watch all the content that is on there. We've got about 600-700 hours of content, and probably we're going to cross 1,000 this year. So all of that content, which we call the AVOD, right? AVOD is advertisement-based video on demand, right? So OTT primarily, for those who don't know, have 3 types of monetization schemes directly through the B2C space. One is the AVOD, which is advertisement-based video on demand. Second is the TVOD, which is transaction-based video on demand, which we call rent to watch kind of a thing, where you rent each movie on Amazon Prime and watch it early bird access or however. And the third type is obviously the SVOD, which is a subscription-based video on demand. So speaking of our journey, for the first 6 months, we made sure that in a market where Gujarati movies are overshadowed by Hindi content, we made sure that we give all of the content for free. Baddu free. Even our slogan went Badda Mate Baddu free. That was our slogan. So for the first 6 months, we kept absolutely free. We scaled to about 10 lakh plus users in that time. We brought on IPs like Tronika and gave it absolutely free, right? Which had done about 25-30 crores in box office. Moving further, we came into ads. So that was the first step of monetization for us. By then, we made sure that our tech had stably reached all the connected TVs. We were available on Apple TV, on Fire Stick, on Google, all of these platforms, to ensure better distribution and presence on our TV modules as well. Once we got that and we were stable with it, we started with the ads. We hired people from radio industry. We hired people, in Bombay and in the national markets to make sure that our CPM or cost per mile, which we get for the ad impressions, was on a higher on side, because we are serving a niche in the community. Once we stabilized on that, then the subscription model came in. So today, if you ask me what can a producer make when they come to Jojo, I can say that Jojo can offer obviously the consideration of money in terms of rights. That is just the basic way of things happening. We can license deals creatively for a certain time period, for a certain region, for a certain type of rights, may that be digital or satellite. We sometimes club it up, and obviously we know that what is a tentative pricing or what is a tentative valuation where we can hold this IP. Obviously on our balance sheet and our books, it is always amortized. IPs, they year on year, they obviously reduce in value. But then it is about your aggression, it is about your library, and it's about the number of titles that you have that you use to leverage whenever you are talking to any provider or any space that can consume your content, But everything is about viewership, everything is about eyeballs. If the content is good, if the content is well marketed, you will most likely receive a similar offer. Sometimes we even offer box office bonus if the deal is done before the movie releases. So if a movie is, let's say, made at a budget of 3 to 4 crores, right? And now it is about to hit into the cinemas. We have seen the movie. We are bullish that this film is going to work. We will offer box office bonuses that if you think that your movie should make X, we will give you X plus Y. Why? Because we are going to get that ROI from the cinemas. People are going to watch it. It's going to be a mass consumption. And basis of that, more people will know about the film. Hence, that will drive more views to the platform, and hence we don't mind paying more for it. So it really is about viewership and about eyeballs. And since we are in it to win it, my name itself as Dhruvin, so I always say that my job whenever I sit on any negotiation table from a producer standpoint or from the platform standpoint or from a production standpoint, I made sure that we get the win-win, right? Yeah, because my name is Dhruvin, so I ensure that. But again, sometimes some good friends get the better part of the deal. But that's just how we do things, and sometimes their raw talent just is something we really need on the platform, so we need to come to terms with it. But yeah, that's just to answer your question. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Mr. Shah. You have explained in 5 minutes the entire business model of the OTT platform or the online streaming platform, the nitty-gritty and the nuances of this, how the IP works for that. So thank you so much for your detailed answer. Moving to Twinkle ma'am, as we know in Hollywood and Bollywood, बहुत सारी ऐसी brands हैं, famous movie characters, they take trademark for the same. If I ask to the audience, they can also name many famous characters from Hollywood movies where the trademarks would have been taken, like Marvel and DC, just to name the few, Batman, and also these days even the Gujarati movies are doing wonders, and by taking trademark and merchandising these things, you can generate the extra revenue. So, is there any possibility? Have you explored the licensing and enhancing the extra revenue or licensing of characterization, special characters? Have you tried that in Gujarati film industry? And what is the scope for the same?
ગુજરાતી ફિલ્મ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીમાં તો આવું અમે લોકોએ ક્યારેય કર્યું નથી. પહેલી જ ફિલ્મથી એવા વિચારો આવતા હતા, કારણ કે મારું બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ એડવર્ટાઇઝિંગ અને માર્કેટિંગનું છે. તો મને પ્રેમજી જ્યારે પહેલી વાર રિલીઝ થઈ એ વખતે 2015માં ફેસબુકને એટલું ફેમસ હતું, બીજું કંઈ પ્લેટફોર્મ્સ હતા નહીં. અને જેમ આપણે ત્યાં ફ્રેમ્સ અત્યારે બની જાય છે કે 15th ઓગસ્ટની ફ્રેમ અને તમારો ફોટોગ્રાફ, તો એવી રીતે કંઈ જ મારાથી પોસિબલ ન બન્યું, કારણ કે ગુજરાતી પ્રોડ્યુસર્સને હવે પૈસા મળે છે, એ વખતે બહુ ઓછા મળતા હતા, કાં તો મળતા જ નહોતા. સો એ વખતે એવા કોઈ ઇન્વેસ્ટર્સ નહોતા મળ્યા કે હું ફિલ્મના ડાયલોગ્સથી કે એવી રીતે ફિલ્મને માર્કેટાઇઝ કરી શકું. તો અમે લોકોએ આઈ એમ પ્રેમજી એવી કરી અને ફ્રેમ ક્રિએટ કરી હતી, અને પ્લેટફોર્મ પર કહેતા હતા કે તમારે તમારો ફોટો આ ફિલ્મના બેકગ્રાઉન્ડમાં મૂકવો હોય તો તમે અમને મોકલો, અને એ લોકો એમના પ્રોફાઇલ પિકમાં મૂકે. તો એવી રીતે ફિલ્મને અલગ પ્રકારની રીચ મળે. તો મર્ચન્ડાઇઝિંગ ને એ બધાથી ફિલ્મને એક અલગ રીચ મળે છે, પણ આવું મીડિયમ એક્સપ્લોર નથી થયું. મોન્ટુની બીટુ વખતે મને ફિલ્મનો ડાયલોગ છે કે હું બહુ હોપફુલ છું અને મારી હોપનો H કેપિટલ છે. તો આવા ડાયલોગ્સ હોય તો આવા ડાયલોગ્સ પણ ટી શર્ટ ઉપર લખી અને એવા ટી શર્ટ્સ પણ સેલ થાય, પણ એવું કોઈ પાર્ટનર મને મળે કે જે આમાં ઇન્વેસ્ટ કરે અને હું કંઈક રોયલ્ટી લઉં, પણ એવું હજુ સુધી ક્યાંય એક્સપ્લોર નથી થયું. ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી ઘણી છે. 21મું ટિફિન વખતે મને એવું હતું કે 21મું ટિફિનમાં અમે લોકોએ એક સ્પેશિયલ થેલી ડિઝાઇન કરી હતી, ટિફિનની થેલી, પતંગિયાની ડિઝાઇનવાળી. તો એ વખતે મને એવું હતું કે આવી થેલી પણ હું સેલ કરીશ, પણ હું નથી કરી શકી. સેમ અગેઇન કસુંબોમાં ખમકારે ખોડલ સહાય છે એવો કરીને એક ડાયલોગ છે. તો એ ડાયલોગ ઉપર ઘણું બધું થઈ શકે એવું હતું, અને ઈચ્છા પણ હતી કે ક્યાંક કંઈક આ ડાયલોગને લઈને અમે લોકો કરીએ. અમુક ડાયલોગ્સને અમારી લીગલ ટીમ છે એની સાથે મેં વાતચીત કરીને અમુક અમે લોકોએ રજિસ્ટર પણ એવી રીતે કરાવ્યા હતા કે જેનું બીજે ક્યાંય યુઝ ન થાય ને પછીથી પણ અમે લોકો કંઈ કરી શકીએ. મને તો એવું થાય કે હજુ સુધી પુષ્પા પણ નથી કરી શક્યું, એટલે કદાચ આપણે નથી કરી શક્યા. બાકી પુષ્પામાં જેવી રીતે બેક સાઈડના પંજાવાળા ટી શર્ટ અને પુષ્પા ઝુકેગા નહીં સાલાના નામે કેટલું બધું લોકો એમનેમ કરે છે. મારે મેમ સાથે વાત થઈ હતી ત્યારે જ મેં કીધું હતું કે ફર્સ્ટ ટાઈમ પુષ્પા રિલીઝ થયું ને ત્યારે મેં એક ગોળાવાળાનું બોર્ડ વાંચ્યું હતું. આઈસ ગોળા મળતા હતા પણ એનું નામ હતું પુષ્પા ઝુકેગા નહીં સાલા. તો એ વખતે મને એવું થાય કે આ ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી છે જે આપણે એક્સપ્લોર કરવી જોઈએ, પણ આઈપીને લઈને ઇન્ડિયામાં કદાચ આટલું બધું અવેરનેસ નથી જેટલું ફોરેન કન્ટ્રીઝમાં છે. અને બીજું કે ફોરેન કન્ટ્રીઝમાં એના રેગ્યુલેશન્સ માટે રેગ્યુલેશન ઓથોરિટીને બધા લોકોને બહુ જ નોલેજ છે. હમણાં પહેલાં જ સેશનમાં ઠક્કર સરે કીધું કે ઘણા બધા જજીસને પણ નથી ખબર હતી આઈપી લોઝ વિશે. તો મે બી કદાચ આ બધી વસ્તુઓના લીધે હજુ આપણે ઇન્ડિયામાં ઇન્ડિયન ફિલ્મ્સમાં આ બધી વસ્તુઓ એક્સપ્લોર નથી કરી શક્યા. એમ તો કુછ કુછ હોતા એમાં જે કોસ્ચ્યુમ્સ આ લોકો પહેરતા હતા, હેરબેન્ડ પહેરતા હતા, એ બધા પણ એક સ્ટાઇલ સ્ટેટમેન્ટ હતા. પણ એ બધી વસ્તુઓને પણ ક્યાંક રજિસ્ટર કરી અને કોમર્શિયલાઇઝ કરી શકીએ. પણ અગેઇન આ બધું પ્લાનિંગ કરવું પડે. જો ફિલ્મ ફેમસ થશે તો એના ઉપર તમે કંઈક કમાઈ શકશો. જો ફિલ્મ ફેમસ નહીં થાય તો કદાચ તમારે એનો લોસ પણ કરવો પડે. બટ હા, ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી ઘણી બધી છે પણ હજુ સુધી એક્સપ્લોર નથી થઈ.
So I hope in future આપણા ગુજરાતી ફિલ્મ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીમાં પણ આવી ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટીઝ એક્સપ્લોર થશે. યસ, એન્ડ the IP right will be there available for even Gujarati movie characters also. Moving to Manan sir, I would like to ask you, you have registered many IP rights so for many of your shows, for comedy shows. So what kind of hurdles have you faced? Any dispute, IP dispute have you faced? Or and how do you balance creative freedom with intellectual property protection in your film projects. So they are two contradicting factors.
એટલે બહુ સેકન્ડ પ્રશ્ન હું ફરીથી પૂછીશ તમને
Okay.
ત્યારે મને રિપીટ કરજો હું પહેલા પ્રશ્નનો જવાબ આપી દઉં Yeah, I've registered many IPs under the Comedy Factory और उसमें ऐसा है कि yeah, we have faced many hurdles. Like कभी मैं भी कोई copyright यूज़ करता हूँ तो मुझे भी पता नहीं चलता है because copyright laws are, there are a lot of grey areas which as in when you face problems, if there is a conflict, you try to resolve it amicably. अगर नहीं होता है तो कोर्ट में जाता है और बहुत सारे इश्यूज होते हैं. आई थिंक जो ट्विंकल मैम ने कहा उसका मेरे पास एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग आंसर है. पहले वो भी एड्रेस कर लूँ मैं कि मर्चेंडाइजिंग अगर आप करते हो, पुष्पा झुकेगा नहीं लगा दिया टी शर्ट पे या पीछे पंजा लगा दिया, सो कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री का भी खुद का मर्चेंडाइजिंग है अभी भी और उसमें जती रेजे के टी शर्ट्स है, उसमें दूसरे सारे जो हमारे आईपी है उसके टी शर्ट्स है. बट मर्चेंडाइजिंग टेक्सटाइल मार्केट एज अ होल इज़ सो कॉम्पिटिटिव, द मार्जिन्स आर वेरी लेस. तो तुम्हें एक टी शर्ट पे 20 रुपया, 30 रुपया, 50 रुपया, 100 रुपया ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कमाने को मिल रहा है. सो नाउ इन मर्चेंडाइजिंग ऑल्सो पीपल वॉन्ट गुड क्वालिटी. ऐसा 300 रुपये का टी शर्ट लगा के 50 रुपये का प्रिंट लगा दिया और बेच दिया, लोग नहीं पहनेंगे क्योंकि वो प्रिंट एक बार धोने में ही निकल जाता है. सो नाउ पीपल वॉन्ट गुड क्वालिटी स्टफ इवन इन मर्चेंडाइज which makers and content creators like us needs to understand. બાકી એમાં પડવા જેવું છે નહીં સાચું કહું તો કે એટલે મગજમારી એટલી બધી છે અને બધી કંઈ છે નહીં. ઘણી વખત શું હોય છે કે પીપલ ટ્રાય ટુ કંટ્રોલ ધેર આઈપીસ ઓલ્સો, બટ કંટ્રોલિંગ ધી આઈપીસ ઇઝ ઓલ્સો બિગ પ્રોબ્લેમ. લાઈક ઇફ સમબડી ઇઝ યુઝિંગ જતી રહે છે, मैं ऐसा नहीं बोलूँगा ए मारी आईपी है वापरन नहीं. आई थिंक दैट हेल्प्स मी ऑल्सो इन अ वे. लाइक देयर इज दिस बिग प्रोडक्शन हाउस विच मेक्स द बिगेस्ट टेलीविजन शो ऑफ द कंट्री. उनके मेरे पास 2 बार लीगल नोटिस आए कि यू आर यूजिंग माई कॉन्टेंट, यू आर यूजिंग दिस, यू आर यूजिंग दैट. एंड आई एम लाइक इट कम्स अंडर फेयर यूज बिकॉज आई एम क्रिटिसाइजिंग इट. इवन दो आई एम यूजिंग द फुटेज, I'm not monetizing anything out of it. No, but YouTube monetization is off. On. So I was like, हाँ ठीक है, monetization off कर दिया, अब क्या है? अब तो fair use हो गया ना. So these conflicts are also there. Like wherein I'm doing movie reviews or I'm using some footage externally. राजश्री प्रोडक्शन ने जब मैंने प्रेम रतन धन पायो पे रिव्यू किया था तो मेरी चैनल पे सबसे पहला कॉपीराइट स्ट्राइक उन्होंने दिया था. So that also happened because फेयर यूज़ ये बड़े प्रोडक्शन हाउसेस को पता ही नहीं है. टी सीरीज, जी, टिप्स, ऑल ऑफ दीज ट्राई टू कंट्रोल स्टफ. नाउ वी डिड समथिंग अंडर दिस ओनली, समथिंग कॉल्ड गरबा शफल. इट्स अवर पॉपुलर. आई हैव ट्रेडमार्क द नेम गरबा शफल, बट आई कॉन्ट ओन द सॉन्ग्स इवन दो आई हैव चेंज द कंपोजिशंस. सो टेक्निकली आई हैव द आईपी, बट एनीबडी कैन क्लेम द लिरिक्स एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट. सो आई हैव केप्ट इट ओपन टू ऑल, मतलब जिसको जैसे यूज़ करना है वैसे यूज़ कर सकता है. सो वी हैव नॉट रिसीव्ड, एंड उसमें क्या है, शेयर्ड मोनेटाइजेशन भी होता है. यूट्यूब एज अ कंटेंट आईपी इज़ द बेस्ट थिंग टू हैपन टू कंटेंट. और कंटेंट आईपी जो होता है उसके वजह से क्या होता है कि जितने भी सॉन्ग्स मैंने गरबा शफल में यूज़ किए, एवरीबडी इज़ गेटिंग अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ स्टेक फ्रॉम दैट गरबा शफल इन अ शेयर्ड मोनेटाइजेशन मैनर. मतलब टिप्स को थोड़ा मिल रहा है, वीनस को थोड़ा मिल रहा है, and then Sony को थोड़ा मिल रहा है, and that kind of thing. Now coming to the conflicts that we have faced is there was a show on Zee Entertainment called The Comedy Factory. They launched a show 3-4 years back with the name The Comedy Factory. And the judge on that show was Farah Khan. And we sent out a notice before they even start marketing because वो paparazzi pages पे आ गया कि ऐसा एक show आ रहा है. They ignored. Then we sent another notice saying कि भाई तुम लोग The Comedy Factory के अभी commercials चालू हो गए हैं, तुम लोग देखो भाई हमारा सब ये registered है, ये सारा ऐसा ऐसा है. They again ignored. And it was like a David versus Goliath kind of situation wherein we then filed a lawsuit against Zee Entertainment. एंड बिकॉज यार खुद का कंपनी है, खुद की रोजी है, सबसे मेन चीज़ है, और उस पर अगर कोई ऐसा हाथ उठाए, उंगली उठाए तो अंदर का पुष्पा जाग जाता है. तो मैं भी झुकेगा नहीं साला. सब लोग मेरे को बोल रहे थे मनन तू नहीं जीत पाएगा, तू रहने दे, बहुत बड़ी कंपनी है, इनकी लीगल टीम ऐसा होता है, इनका पैरालीगल ऐसा होता है, इनका लीगल ऐसा होता है, ये होता है वो होता है. मैंने बोला नहीं भाई, जो है वो सच है, और मेरी लीगल टीम इतनी स्ट्रांग है दैट दे गिव मी ऑल द, मतलब लीगल टीम विल नेवर से कि આપણું જ છે જીતી જઈશું, અરે કોઈ કશું નહીં ઉખાડી શકે. દે લાઈક યા વી વિલ ટ્રાય, વી વિલ સી, યા નો આઈ થિંક ધ પેપર, યા ઇટ્સ ઓલ ગુડ બટ લેટ્સ સી. કારણ કે અંદરથી આઈ થિંક એવરી લોયર ઓર એવરી લીગલ ટીમ ઇઝ ઓલ્સો લાઈક ખબર નહીં લા થશે કે નહીં, કારણ કે અમે ઓળો હું કયો કેસ લઈ આવે, કયો કેસ સામે કરે, અને એવું થાય છે ઘણી વખત. क्योंकि मैं पूरे हियरिंग 2 दिन बैठा था वो हियरिंग में, मुंबई हाई कोर्ट में केस चल रहा है और बहुत मज़ा आ रहा है मेरे को वहाँ से. तो मतलब वो आमने सामने बात कर रहे हैं, वो कोलकाता का केस निकाल रहा है, वो दिल्ली का केस निकाल रहा है. नो सर, बट इन दिस इफ़ यू कैन लुक एट दिस पेज चैप्टर, ए पेज फरावता 10 मिनट लागे कि क्या કયું પાનું કે છે યાર, એક તો 150 પાના 200 પાના નાખ્યા હોય અમે અંદર પ્રૂફ તરીકે. તો આ બધી વસ્તુઓ ચાલતી હતી. એન્ડ દેન so I was represented by K Law, Krishnamurthy Law, and Z was represented by Hiren Kamod and Mr. Ravi Kadam, who is the one of the senior most IP lawyers in the country. तो हमारी वहाँ पे ही फटी थी कि रवि कदम सामे जे पति गया लेवाई जैसू. But thankfully we had senior counsel Birendra Saraf who fought the case for the Comedy Factory. And the hearing went on for 2 days. And मतलब हमारा यही था, हमने इंजंक्शन मांगा था और वो लोग अपने ईगो ट्रिपिंग में थे कि कैसे आ लोग नानी कंपनी हूँ करवाना बड़ौदा वाला ने आम देम ठीक हूँ. बट देन उनका हिल गया, पूरा सिस्टम हिल गया, क्योंकि द एंटायर लीगल टीम ऑफ जी इग्नोर्ड ऑल आवर 3 notices, एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी हैड टू फाइल द लॉसूट इन मुंबई हाई कोर्ट. और जब हुआ तो रवि कदम केम ऑन द सेकेंड डे, मतलब उतनी फट गई थी बिकॉज सीनियर एडवोकेट्स वो हैंडल नहीं कर पाए थे, बिकॉज आवर पेपर वर्क वॉज थरो. मतलब दे वर लाइक ओके द कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री फर्स्ट वॉज अ पार्टनरशिप फर्म, देन इट बिकेम अ प्राइवेट लिमिटेड. सो दिस अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग, दोज हु आर इनटू लीगल टीम्स ओवर हियर. व्हाट हैपेंड वाज दैट देयर वर 2 major arguments in this case. One argument was that भाई द कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री इज जेनेरिक यूज. तो बीरेंद्र सर ने बहुत सिंपल बोला, तो भाई तुमने क्यों रजिस्टर डाला है, क्योंकि वो लोग ने ट्रेडमार्क रजिस्टर डाला था सामने. दे आर आर्ग्यूइंग दिस एंड देन दे आर देमसेल्व्स रजिस्टरिंग द कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री फ्रॉम देयर एंड. देन दे वांटेड टू चेंज इट टू जी कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री, बट दैट वाज आल्सो कॉपीराइट इन्फ्रिंजमेंट. नाउ ऑन सेकेंड डे वी वर फाइटिंग फॉर दैट कि नहीं द कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री तो ठीक है, पर हम लोग उसको जी कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री बुला रहे. वी आर लाइक स्टिल आवर डिजिटल फुटप्रिंट इज गेटिंग कंप्लीटली मेस्ड अप. बिकॉज क्या हो रहा था कि जब आप गूगल करते थे द कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री तो पहले 10 पेज सिर्फ हमारे थे. 11वें पेज पे गूगल रिजल्ट में आता था बॉल्टीमोर कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री, विच इज़ अ कॉमेडी क्लब इन बॉल्टीमोर USA. तो उसमें क्या हुआ कि उसके बाद द सिचुएशन वॉज कि जी कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री की वजह से, फारा खान की वजह से और बाकी सब कॉमेडियंस की वजह से नंबर 1 सर्च रिजल्ट आ गया, क्योंकि वो लोग तो पैसा डालते रहेंगे SEO में. तो मेरा तो पूरा मैस हो रहा था कॉमेडी फैक्ट्री मेरे. तो दैट्स वाई just 1 day before the show airing we got the injunction, and at the last moment Z Entertainment was like, because the justice was going to pass the order in our favor, and last time पूछ लेते हैं देखो ना भाई तुम्हें कर लो ना, क्या इतना तुम ये कर रहे हो. तो then Hiren Kamod said okay we are ready to change, okay. So we didn't win on paper because they agreed to our, but it was in our favor. That's what it is. And the purpose is solved. Yeah, and purpose is solved, but खर्चो बहुत है यो. 15-20 लाख घुसी का ना हमें कोर्टे की तो 2 लाख આપી દો આને. 2 લાખ માં હું તો આવો મોટો કેસ પણ લડ્યો છે અમે. Like we have also locked horns with a media giant like Z Entertainment too, and that's how important IP is. That you think that it won't help you in the future, but and yeah, one more thing was the Comedy Factory पहले LLP था और उसके बाद we turned into a private limited. So there, one more argument was that the IP is registered under the Comedy Factory partnership, but your case is filed under TCF Entertainment Private Limited. But my legal team is so thorough, even I didn't know it. They had transferred all the rights from the partnership to the private limited. And Dhruvin also knows this, that it's very important to transfer the ownership of your IPs if you are growing as a company. Business growth की बात हो रही है, तो अगर आप एक international भी डाल रहे हो this thing, IP, या तो फिर आपकी कंपनी इंटरनेशनल जा रही है, तो वहाँ पे भी रजिस्टर्ड होना चाहिए और वो सारी IPs उसके अंदर रजिस्टर होनी चाहिए. So I think that's what we have faced so far.
थैंक यू सो मच. सो आपने तो एकदम डेविड गोलियत की स्टोरी को रियल सेंस में प्ले किया है. सो यू हैव फॉट विद अ वेरी जायंट फर्म. सो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर इनसाइट्स ऑन द लीगल बैटल. I would like to ask Dhruvin sir, as has been instructed to me that we want some question answer session from the audience as well. So we'll be restricting here ourselves to asking the last question, that as an actor, have you ever faced situations where your image, voice or performance was used without your consent? These days, Shah Rukh Khan, Kajol, Ajay Devgan, they are taking trademark of their own name. So what's the reason that they are taking trademark of their own name and how it is going to help them?
Sure. So, personally speaking, I've been so busy with JoJo, I haven't acted in a few years, so not much infringement has happened lately with me. So Manan might have some recent stories, but from whatever work that I've done in the US, I'd done some voiceover work, and I did not know that I was supposed to make royalty checks off of it. So every time in the US they have this system, I mean probably in India too, I don't know, I mean for a certain things maybe, but not otherwise, where if I have given my voice as an artist to it was I think a radio commercial, and it was in like an American accent, but they wanted sort of certain tonalities to come as like a Hispanic sort of a person who is born and raised in America. So this was just a creative brief that was on the back of it. But when you're actually listening to the whole thing, it sounds like just a man's voice who is sort of like this Hispanic nationality person trying to push you this product. So we got that done and everything, and my agents, which is Abrams Artist Agency, is one of the top 5 agencies in Hollywood. They actually fought back, with the production, and they made sure that I made royalty checks off of it, right? So those kind of things is something that even an artist requires protection, as Manan rightly said. When you have people with that expertise or that insight or that experience, who have been in similar situations, it just always is better to have those on your side, because you don't know what you actually need protection from, and things can get very tricky. Speaking of this, I mean for these actors that are registering things on their name, I think it is absolutely essential. I'll use that part of this thing, because Manan really, his team made a big deal out of it. Obviously, creating that win-win situation, I dropped it immediately, because I know how seriously he takes his work, and his AI avatar made by JoJo, then monetized, and him not making anything out of it didn't seem fair to me as well. So we made sure that we were on an agreement that whenever we do this, we do it together. So that was something that we worked out. But when it comes to all these actors and obviously this AI generated content, deep fakes that are just coming around so much, right? It is very important, because now it is so easy to create voices, it's so easy to create faces. I can make any one of you say anything I want and leave it on the open world for the open world to see. You don't even know about it. I mean, it's a very scary thing if you look at it, right? But it's happening. So what to do? I mean, if you know, some of you might know about this, but in Hollywood right now, what is happening is there's this union called the SAG-AFTRA, Screen Actors Guild, right? So that entire union, what they call, right, they were facing a major backlash by all these big Hollywood actors, because they don't know, but out of this big ass contracts that they signed, they saw so many little points which they had not, probably they just skimmed over or whatever it is, but that gave the makers a right to scan them in a 3D environment and use their voice, use their face to create whatever expression possible. And as AI is getting more and more better at reading human emotions, and multiple use cases of AI that we are seeing in the market right now, what ends up happening is every time if I really need Manan to cry, Manan as an actor or as a performer, or me as an actor or as a performer, might not be able to deliver it every time, maybe for the 100th time or the 200th time. But AI will be able to do that, much to the maker's liking. So now the whole thing is just happening on one system, on the screen, you know, on the table, and the actors are no longer required. So now this is creating sort of a negative wave around that as well. You want to add to that?
We will cry when we see the paycheck. Like, no.
So
No, but
sure.
it's so true. I'll just like to add a little bit. Sorry, Dhruvin.
Go for it.
You know, for actors or comedians or artists like us, it's very important that, you know, there are producers and platform makers like Dhruvin and Twinkle, and what they are doing is fantastic. They are bleeding the most, as you can see. They are in the front line, and we are like કે છેલ્લે અમારો વારો આવશે તો એકાદ અમારી કરતબ દેખાડી દઈશું. પણ સૌથી વધારે આ લોકોના, અને that's what even artists need to understand, that you can't have everything to yourself. Sometimes during the growth process, and because it's about the business growth, and for an artist also it's very important and that's what Dhruvin and I did, that you have to let go of certain things, you have to control, you can't have control of entire thing, right? And because of YouTube, people think that they have an absolute democracy to create content, and if you think that you will get a lot of success and you will climb to the stars through YouTube, which is a completely democratic platform, then one day you will be Samay Raina, basically. So
I was waiting for this to come because I haven't catched up with you in a while.
It's inevitable. For the entire ecosystem to run, you can't surpass the system norms which are there. And if you try to, because it's an ecosystem based out of a lot of hard work of a lot of people, of the capitalists, of the talents, of the investors and financiers and everybody. So it's a give and take situation. Like there are certain things that I'll tell Dhruvin bhai, આ રવા દો, આ મારું છે, હું તમારા માટે બીજું કંઈ આપું ને, આપણે કંઈક બીજું સાથે કરીએ. So you can't have an absolute control over your creativity and your IPs all the time. There is a give and take which you have to do. You have to think from a longer vision, because an ecosystem cannot just run on artists. They need visionaries like Twinkle, they need people like Dhruvin who will help us push the envelope of creativity and Gujarati entertainment overall. So yeah.
And just to add to that, I mean, regarding content creation, right? Like NFTs is a growing market. India is still not touched much on it. Obviously, crypto and the entire buzz around it and everything. But speaking of that, registered artists about like Pushpa Jhukega Nahi and all, right? Those kind of things can obviously be converted into NFTs, and that time will come today or tomorrow. I'm sure you might actually have a lot based on your thesis to contribute on this. But yeah, personally, I feel like with more and more AI generated content, originality will matter a lot. And I personally see this world happening where no Netflix or Jojo or any other platform will be around very soon. And this is just my cryptic observation. You can take it or not. But I personally feel कि content कैसे देखेंगे ना लोग future में, कि आप एक prompt लिखोगे कि मुझे सिल्वेस्टर स्टेलोन और राखी सावंत की एक एक्शन कॉमेडी फिल्म देखनी है जिसमें विल स्मिथ और स्टीव जॉब्स एक कैमियो कर रहे हैं, and you hit enter and AI will actually render that movie for you in real time and show it to you. This is the future. This is what is going to happen whether we like it or not. So we must brace ourselves for it.
We won't like it. I don't want to see Sylvester Stallone and...
I mean, that is my choice. I would definitely...
And
if Badass Ravi Kumar can be a hit,
yeah, that's
anything is possible.
Badass Ravi Kumar is my Sylvester Stallone.
I would like to put AI prompt where it says that I want to watch a Badass Ravi Kumar starring Manan Desai as the badass. See,
wow,
that's possible, right? If we had the rights, we would have made it by now. But good thing you protected those rights.
એમાં હું ઇમેજિન કરું છું પોતાની જાતને. સરસ, સારું લાગી રહ્યું છે. એટલા લાંબા વાળ નહીં થઈ શકે, મારી રિસીડિંગ હેરલાઇન છે એટલે.
But definitely generative AI and those things are happening, and there is more sample size now. The way data is being captured, it is definitely going to be happening in the near future.
બટ હવે તો એઆઈ માટે પણ એવું છે ને કે એ લોકોને પણ હવે બધા જ લોકો પરમિશન નથી આપતા, એટલે કદાચ આટલું બધું ક્રિએટ નહીં થઈ શકે. જે ફટ દઈને એઆઈ બધેથી ડેટા લઈ લે છે, તમે લોકોએ એને ડેટા, હા તમે લોકોએ તમારો ડેટા આઈપી રજિસ્ટર કરાવ્યો છે તો તમે એઆઈને બી કહી શકશો ભાઈ યુ કેન્ટ યુઝ માય ડેટા.
Fair enough.
તો એઆઈ નહીં કરી શકે, એટલું બધું નહીં
Or
કરવા
maybe
દઈએ
there will be
આપણે.
some monetization.
એટલું બધું ટેકનિકલ નહીં થવા દઈએ.
Possibly, hopefully, yes. I would hope that. Because then there is an open market for creatives, right? Like, આજે તમે suppose કોઈ handmade product હોય, obviously it is considered more premium. May that be luxury watches or handicraft products or whatever it is, right? Anything that is made personally is obviously going to have more value as you know, to fellow humans and all. But yeah, times are changing. We must brace ourselves. Lot of the times, I mean, I'm seeing this with Pocket FM. I'm seeing this with more and more OTT founders that I'm meeting in my journey. More and more people are now making sure that content is being made with AI to reduce human intervention. So that is a paradox, whether we go for the originality or this. But usually it's always a combination of the two. So yeah.
Thank you so much, all three of you, for your insights on the use of AI in the upcoming years. Now, I would like to have one question from the audience. You can ask to any one of the panelists. Yes, please.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, panelists and moderator, for upscaling our information in the field of entertainment, IP. So I just want to know that Bollywood industry or Indian film industry and is great, and it is there for our every mood in terms of with its creativity for our every mood and all, and we owe to you for all those things. But seeing from the other lens, we are known to copy West in many fields, and we are accused many a times. But I want to see it from other lens as well, that many of you would be knowing that Satyajit Ray's movie Bonko Babur Bondhu was, the entire content was copied and made the blockbuster movie Extraterrestrial. So how our entertainment industry is now efficient or strong enough to accuse them, West, if they are copying our content? So how strong we are as actor, as producer, as cinematographer? So that is my question.
So I'm sure everyone would have some insights about the fine question you just asked, but if I can just try and answer that. So if you actually look at it from a creative standpoint, and I'm sure the panel can back me on this, that there are only 9 types of stories. So obviously everything beyond a point is somewhat inspired by something or the other. This entire conversation that we are having, whatever I am saying, whatever everyone else is contributing, is also based on some experience that they've gathered from this lifetime, right? Similarly, all the entertainment is one. If you look at it, it's all towards singularity. And now, as digital entertainment is taking over, right, the world has sort of become flat in terms of entertainment. Today you can sit and watch, let's say, a Fauda or a Squid Game sitting in Ahmedabad, right? Like previously that kind of a exposure was not mass consumed like this, like it is today. So to a certain degree, content will be sort of inspired by one or the other. But when, yes, obviously there are prequel rights, there are sequel rights, there are remake rights that protect the particular content in terms of any such event. Obviously, to claim or not, obviously Manan could have maybe given an NOC at that point when they said we will call it Z Comedy Factory because it's not the Comedy Factory, but you held your own. So then it is about choices and preferences and what you can actually creatively let go of. Unless it is like absolutely directly based on your story, then there are certain claims that later on come about that, oh, this film is inspired by such and such and so and so. Happens in songs all the time, right? Because the originality in songs is reducing, like that one hook line or that one particular thing that might be something that we have seen and heard in so many songs is being repeated over and over and served and packaged in a different way, right? So a lot of the times, obviously, these big music channels and whenever they are giving rights, official rights, they are signing off some kind of a thing. If you see कि कोई मतलब मान लो कि कोई पुराने हिंदी फिल्म का गाना कोई कहीं कुछ फिल्म में या कोई कंटेंट में यूज़ हो रहा है, someone somewhere must have signed something so that is being brought to you. But yeah, there are remake rights, there are prequel sequel rights, and there are sort of even dubbing rights which protect that particular originality of the content. There are bodies like SWA where you can register a particular script also, and may that be a one pager, may that just be your thoughts, you can always go and register on it so that it's there, so that it's evident that, oh, I registered on so and then maybe a couple of months or years later this person or this production house has made it, so I can then claim my story. But again, everything is very subjective. If you really look at it at a ground reality, you know, it is all very grey. Did you really infringe? Did you really, you know, or was it just a simple inspired by kind of a scenario? So that is just my take on it.
Yeah, I think I completely agree to the last thing that you said, that it is case to case. Like, we can obviously fight for our content creation. If there is a movie which has been copied by the West or even a premise, then I could go to their courts or send them a lawsuit from my court and sort of tell them that, hey, and I can run a social media campaign of sorts के इन्होंने इसमें से कॉपी किया है. I think एक मूवी थी जो बांग्लादेशी मूवी थी जो ફરા ખાનના હસબન્ડનું નામ શું, શિરીષ કુંદર, એણે કંઈક કોપી કરેલી મનોજ બાજપાઈવાળી મૂવી, એનું પણ આવો સેમ કેસ હતો જે સત્યજીત રેવાળી તમે ઘટના કીધેલી. સો I personally feel that it's case to case point, and for that you need good legal team to fight your cause. Like, if you think that this is, the legal team will tell you, yes, this is worth fighting for. Like the Comedy Factory and Z Comedy Factory was worth fighting for, and then they changed it to Z Comedy Club. That's the final name that they chose, which we were okay with. So that is there. And another thing about, as Dhruvin mentioned at the first go, is that there are only 9 odd stories on this planet and everything is a remix. That's also a very nice documentary called Everything is a Remix, if you get some time. मतलब सब लोग सेम ही बात बोल रहे हैं कई सालों से. And just to culminate this thought process is that when you copy from one place, it's called plagiarism, but you copy from many places, it's called inspiration, genius, whatever. So that's how it should be. Copy from many places. That's
copying also requires creativity.
Yeah, right? very, very much. કાપલીઓ મૂકીને જવાની, ક્યાં ક્યાં મૂકવાની, એ બધું ક્રિએટિવિટી તો જોવું પડે.
ફિલ્મ્સ માટે એક લો પણ છે કે તમે ફિલ્મ રિલીઝ કરો એના 50 વર્ષ થઈ ગયા હોય તો તમે એનું તમને આઈપી જનરેટ કરી શકો છો. એવા ઘણા બધા લોઝ છે. તો મે બી કદાચ સત્યજીત રેની ફિલ્મના રાઇટ્સ હવે નહીં રહ્યા હોય અને એની રિમેક બની હશે. અને બીજું કે આપણે અહીંયા આગળ એટલી બધી કોપી કરીએ છીએ ને કે કોઈ આપણી કોપી કરી જાય ને તો આપણને વાંધો નથી આવતો કે હા સારું છે ભલે ને કરતા એ
થોડું મન મોટું રાખવું પડે પછી.
એ છે કે આપણે એટલી બધી કોપી કરીએ છીએ ને કે ચાલશે હવે ચલો થોડુંક એમણે કર્યું એમ.
અને એવું અમે હમણાં જ સાંભળ્યું, ન્યૂઝમાં જ જોયેલું કે ડિઝનીના કેરેક્ટર્સના હવે કોપીરાઇટ જઈ રહ્યા છે. સો નાઉ ઇટ હેઝ બીકમ, it is yesterday only, right? Now it has become public domain, so you can use Mickey Mouse. I mean, not like that, but yeah. So that's sorry yaar मैं वही જેવું છું ઘણી વખત. મિકી માઉસ છે, ડોનાલ્ડ ડક છે, આ બધા હવે સાર્વજનિક થઈ ગયા છે. તો તમે આનો ડોનાલ્ડ ડકનું કશું પણ કશે પણ યુઝ કરી શકો છો. I think 100-year-old IP હતું, which Disney is trying to get back again, but they won't be able to. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, this public domain kind of a thing is very interesting, yeah, for sure.
So thank you so much for this fruitful and enriching discussion. I'm sure it will be helpful to many budding students who want to make their career in film industry or in IP legal industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Before we end, just I would like to invite Miss Neha Ramani to share her experience. Please, please wait. Just first we take group photo and then.
Thank you, Jatin sir, Gopi ma'am, for organizing this. I was here last year as well, and I remember how involved people get in these sessions. Especially today, the variety of industries that we covered. We covered entertainment, we covered pharma, we covered ice creams, consumer products. So how IP is impacting all these businesses and how they're growing globally. I think it was a fantastic event. And I'm sure everybody agrees with me that they've learned a lot today, including me. I'm an IP professional, but I'm still taking some tidbits that I learned from the industry professionals. So thank you. Thank you.
I would like to invite Nisarg ji for same, sharing his experience and if he has any thoughts.
Good evening, everyone. So the session was quite insightful, and being sitting in the audience, it's quite learning experience. Understanding the IP from pharma perspective, from FMCG perspective, from film perspective. And yes, I would like to share an insight that for pharma, coining of trademark or any brand is quite crucial. So rightly addressed by the panel. And in the second panel, yes, Manan bhai, it's a collaborative approach to create IP in a creative genre, and I'm sure Jatirej would be the new IP you would be creating, since we follow your content quite a lot. So thank you YJ Trivedi and AMA for creating this platform. It's a very learning experience, and thank you everyone.
And at the end, I would like to invite Miss Darshi, Advocate Darshi. She is a senior advocate at YJ Trivedi and Company, to give vote of thanks.
Distinguished guest, expert panelist, dedicated moderators, fellow learners, ladies and gentlemen, good evening everyone. It is with immense gratitude that I stand before you today on behalf of the YJ Trivedi AMA Academy for IPR to express our sincere appreciation to all our experts, both on and off the dais, who are so highly regarded in their respective fields. On behalf of all present here, I once again want to extend my sincere gratitude to our esteemed panelists. So if we refer to the panel 1, the key takeaways from the panel 1 includes the strategic planning, IP leveraging, and IP asset valuation in navigating global competition. So Vijay ma'am in the panel 1 rightly mentioned how user supersedes the registration. We had a wonderful balance of two pharma and FMCG perspectives. She rightly mentioned how coining is crucial in one of the matter Mukund sir mentioned and discussed with us, and wherein Japesh sir rightly mentioned about how putting house in order plays a very crucial role. Now going ahead with the panel 2, circling the learnings that the significance of IP agreements, evolving landscape of personality rights, and content monetization, which unlocks revenue streams, transforming creative assets into wealth. Thank you all the panelists for sparing their valuable time and sharing their invaluable insights enriched with their experiences and foresightedness. Dr. Gunjan and Dr. Chaitali, I have to say, you both run a tight ship. You have clearly put a great deal of effort in making it run so smoothly. My sincere thanks to Team AMA and my fellow colleagues and Team YG Trivedi and Company to ideate this event and bring it to reality. And most importantly, dear participants, it's been fantastic to see so many of you here. Your presence and active engagement has made this summit an incredible success. Let's take the insights, connections, and momentum back home and continue to make a meaningful impact. May the warmth of our appreciation stay with you throughout the evening. Thank you so much. Good night.